Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are LA.
Angels Spring Training Baseball is on the air from Tempe Diablo Stadium. The Angels host the Cleveland Indians. Hi, everybody. This is Terry Smith along with Tim Salmon and Victor Rojas welcoming you on the Angels Baseball Network and Diablo Vision on Fox Sports West. We have another picture-perfect day here in the Valley. It's only 77 degrees, so very pleasant weather and bright sunny skies here today in Tempe as the Angels get ready to take on the Cleveland Indians. The Angels coming into this ball game, playing game number 23 of 33 this spring. And the season opener, the regular season opener, is just 12 days away. That'll be at Kansas City on the 31st of March. As far as today's ball game, the pitching matchup, the Angels will be sending Scott Kazmir to the mound. Kazmir has made 3 starts for the Angels this spring. He's also pitched in a B game. That was his most recent outing, a game against some minor league players from the Colorado Rockies. And he will be opposed by Justin Masterson, who a year ago had a tough season for Cleveland, just 6 wins, 13 losses in 29 starts. The umpires are making their way out to home plate. Ted Barrett will be calling balls and strikes. We're slated to have Jerry Davis, Gary Darling, and Jim Wolf on the bases today. Tim Salmon alongside. Tim, good to have you back. You've had a busy day. Have your Little League team here. Saw your wife Marcy here. And now we'll get focused on baseball, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, back-to-back days. It's been fun. It's been a great spring sitting in the booth with you and kind of seeing what this side of life might look like down the road for me. But, I brought my Little League team out today and had a chance for them to, see how the big leaguers do it. Our team's the Angels as well, and I keep preaching things, and I don't know if they really believe me, but I think after seeing some of the guys in the field, the way they're preparing, I think I'm making a believer out of them that I might know a thing or two.
There you go. Your Little League team just coincidentally happens to be known as the Angels.
Just coincidentally, yeah. I think being the commissioner in the league, I might have had something to do with that, huh?
First choice of team nicknames, I guess. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, well, the Angels are taking the field wearing the red tops and the white pants. The Indians will be wearing the blue tops. They have some red trim and the gray pants. And now we'll run down today's starting lineups. And first up for Cleveland, they will line up like this. Their catcher, Carlos Santana, will lead things off. He's hitting .286 this spring. Jason Nix at second base bats second, hitting .136 in the Cactus League. Austin Kearns in right bats third. He's batting .250 this spring. Shelley Duncan, the DH, bats fourth, having a good spring, hitting .333. Matt Laporta at first base will follow, batting fifth, just 8 for 42 in the Cactus League. Chad Hoffman in left field, bats number 6. He's having a good spring, hitting .417. Luis Valbuena at third base, bats seventh. He's gone 7 for 31 in the Cactus League. Adam Everett at short will bat number 8. He's 10 for 30 this spring. And Ezekiel Carrera in center field will bat number 9. He's hitting .282 in the Cactus League. Indians are hitting .279 so far in the Cactus League, and they come into this ball game with 8 wins, 11 losses, 2 ties here in Arizona. Their starting pitcher will be Justin Masterson, a 25-year-old right-hander who in 4 starts this spring has an 0-1 record of 6.00 ERA. Now for the Angels, Meiseras Torres will lead it off. Meiser is hitting .212 in the Cactus League. Howie Kendrick at second base bats second. He's hitting .350 here in Arizona. Bobby Abreu will DH and bat third. Bobby's been heating up. He's hitting .367 this spring. Torrey Hunter in right field bats cleanup. He's hitting .286 in the Cactus League. Vernon Wells in left field bats fifth. He's hitting .265 in the Cactus League. Eric Ibar at short will bat number 6. He's hitting .342 this spring. Bobby Wilson, the catcher, bats seventh. He's hitting .394 in the Cactus League. Hank Conger will be the catcher, batting number 8. He's 4 for 24. And Peter Borges in center field will bat number 9. Borges is hitting .344 this spring. The Angels as a team hitting .267. And pitching is Scott Kazmir, 27-year-old left-hander, 0-1 in 3 starts this spring, 3.38 ERA. We're ready for baseball. The first pitch today, a little bit low and in on the switch hitter, the catcher Carlos Santana. We're underway. The count 1 ball, no strikes. And the 1-0 pitch. That's a strike on the outside corner. The count even, it's now 1-1. Infield is playing it back. The outfield is straight away. Next delivery on Santana. That one is popped up on the right side foul. Bobby Wilson's going to have a play. He's playing first base today, and he'll make the grab, and that is out number 1.
Yeah, it's amazing how the ball finds you. You get put out there in a position you're not real comfortable with. But that's a great opportunity for Bobby and really for Soch to see what kind of range he might have. That's a tough play, you know, backpedaling down the line and not really getting any help from anybody else.
Bobby Wilson playing at first base. It certainly appears that Kendry Morales is not going to be ready to be on the opening day roster for the Angels. Here's the pitch on Jason Nix, and he takes a strike on the outside corner. So Bobby Wilson, not only a guy who can do some catching for you, also playing first base, showing some versatility. Angels will likely have to patch up first base to start the season. There's a swing and a miss for strike 2.
Well, it's very important for Bobby to get as many looks as he can down here in spring and, you know, really feel comfortable with it because, like you're saying, somebody's going to have to fill in, and it's a great opportunity for Bobby to, you know, get himself in the lineup each day.
So it's no balls, 2 strikes on Nix. He was with the White Sox and Cleveland last year. And the next delivery, he takes that fastball a little bit inside, pretty close pitch, 1-2.
Tailing fastball didn't quite come back over the plate for him.
Kazmir has had some early inning troubles this spring, and this first inning, you got to think a little bit of a key for him, even psychologically. Here's the pitch, and there's a swing and a foul tip held by the catcher. Conger struck him out, so Kazmir has retired the first 2 with little trouble, and here's Austin Kearns.
Well, he throws that sinker, or, you know, tailing sinker, I guess, tailing fastball, and working from the left side of the rubber like that, he's given that fastball a lot of room to move out there off the plate, and at least in that last at bat, went after chasing the ball, it was a little bit off the plate.
Kearns, a right-handed batter, takes a first pitch fastball on the outside corner. Kazmir with the fastball, slider, and changeup. He'll use that change against right-handed hitters. Here's the 0-1, and that's on the outside corner. He paints that corner for a called strike, 0-2.
Yeah, he's locating very nicely outside.
We'll see what happens on the 0-2. Here it comes, and that was off speed and missed outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kazmir getting positioned on the third base corner of the pitching rubber.
Yeah, it really sets up his fastball nicely when he wants to tail it away. He kind of has a little bit of an angle out there.
And here's a pop-up on the first base side in foul ground. It should be the inning. Wilson is under another one over there behind the coaching box, puts it away. And a very strong top of the first for Kazmir. No runs, hits, or errors, and nobody left. A clean first inning for him. Bottom of the first we go. No score in Tempe on the Angels Baseball Network. go to the bottom of the first inning. Weiser's Torres leads it off against the right-hander Masterson, and the first pitch, and that one is a pitch that catches the inside corner for a called strike. Is Torres, Kendrick, and Abreu the batters for the Halos, and the next pitch that's in there again. It's now 0-2. Masterson working fast. The 2-strike pitch chopped on the first base side, a foul ball. Justin Masterson has a good power sinker, and he'll throw a slider. He has a changeup. That's a pitch he doesn't use all that much. He was a hard luck pitcher last year for the Indians. There's one fouled back to the screen. Of course, Cleveland did not have a good record again, and a lot of people are expecting more of the same for them here in 2011. They were 69 and 93 last year. Really didn't make a whole lot of off-season moves. 0-2 pitch. Fouled off on the left side, out of play.
You know, Terry, I was down by the cage this morning watching these guys hit, and Masterson came walking by, and I've met him a couple times, but as he's standing there, I was just looking, his arms are so long. He's kind of got a little bit of a funky delivery, which adds to that sink, and with those big old long arms, that ball really, I mean, by the time he releases it, he's down and out pretty good on you.
Yep, they list him at 6'6", and you're right, he has long arms. About 250 pounds. The 1-2 on his Torres. That's popped up foul to our left, back and out of play.
Yeah, that motion, his arm really has a lot of movement behind his body as he reaches back and kind of hides it a little bit, and all of a sudden kind of slings it on you. And with that movement and that action, it's I can see where he could be successful.
Next pitch, that one is low and inside, and the count 2-2. Masterson was originally with the Red Sox. In fact, a second-round pick of Boston back in 2006. He was traded over to the Indians, and here's his Torres fouling off another one. So a good battle here as Weiser is making Masterson throw extra pitches.
Yeah, that's at this time of year. I mean, you really want to start putting together those good at bats. He's down on the count, 0-2, and he's battling and fouling, and showing those good signs that you want to see breaking into the season. But
there's a pitch that as Torres goes after, a high one, and he gets him swinging, struck him out.
Just as I was complimenting him on staying in the strike zone, really chases one out of it, but nonetheless, still a pretty good at bat.
Yep. So here's Howie Kendrick hitting out of the 2-hole today. Howie's playing second base, his regular position. Here's the pitch. That's in there for strike one. And the 1-strike pitch. That's a called strike. So Masterson is certainly pumping in strikes here in this first inning. He's in front on Kendrick 0-2. He jumped in front on his Torres 0-2 as well. There's a pitch low and outside. Tried to get Kendrick to chase one out of the zone. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Light breeze blowing from left to right. Big crowd today. The game is sellout, and the Angels, after this ball game, will have just 3 more games here in Tempe, and we're expecting big crowds, maybe even sellouts for all of them, at least 2 of the final 3. The 1-2. That one is bounced by the mound and through into center field, and Kendrick has a 1-out hit right up the middle.
Nicely back, kept his hands inside that 2-seamer nicely. Ball stayed out over the plate.
So here's Bobby Abreu. Bobby in yesterday's ball game had a couple of home runs, had 3 hits and 4 times up. He's having a nice spring.
Yeah, I was talking to Bobby again before the game in the cage and saying, hey, you ready for the season to start? Oh, yeah. You take 3 swings like that yesterday, you're ready to make them count.
There goes Howie. He's running on the pitch. Ground ball hit the short. They go to second in time. The relay to first base, though, bounced away from the first baseman Laporta. Even with Kendrick running, they're able to get him because that ball was hit so sharply to the shortstop. So a fielder's choice to play at second base that gets Kendrick goes 6-4. And now with 2 outs and a runner at first, here's Torrey Hunter.
Howie did a nice job getting down on that bag. He almost beat it out, but really it made the second baseman's relay throw, put it in the dirt, and extended the inning for us.
Yep. So here's Torrey Hunter batting. He's hitting .286 in the Cactus League, and he cracks his bat and grounds one right to second. It's gobbled up by Nix. He'll throw him out, and the inning is over. So Angels hit a few balls on the ground against the sinker baller Masterson. In the inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, a runner left. No score after 1 on the Angels Baseball Network. We're set for the second inning. First batter up for Cleveland in a scoreless ball game is Shelley Duncan, and Casimir's first pitch right in there for strike 1. Duncan, Laporta, and Huffman the batters, the middle third of the batting order for Cleveland. Here's the next pitch. That one misses low. The Indians have not brought all their starters here today by any stretch, and their best player, Shin Soo Choo, is not here. Travis Hafner isn't here. Grady Sizemore isn't here. He's yet to play in a game this spring, but we're told tomorrow Sizemore will play in his first game this spring, coming back from the left knee microfracture surgery. And Tim, you're familiar with that injury and that surgery.
Yeah, very familiar. It's something that kept me from playing one or two more years, actually. So. Yeah. Very familiar with it. It's a tough injury to come back from, and being as young as he is, it's going to be challenging for him as he moves along in his career, to see what kind of player he becomes as he loses that ability to, rely on his speed and his legs like we've all grown accustomed to.
Right. The 3-1 on Duncan popped up. Let's see who's going to call for it. Out near second base, it'll be Kendrick, and on the dirt, not too far away from second. Howie makes the grab. That's out number 1. Mentioning Grady Sizemore, he played in only 33 games last season, and he had that left knee microfracture surgery back in early June. Missed a lot of time in the 09 season as well, when he had left elbow surgery. Before he ran into all these injury issues, he was one of the top exciting players in baseball.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, it really makes you think of a guy like Cal Ripken. What he did. It's amazing to play this game without having some injuries. And
sure,
it's been unfortunate for Grady. That is a tough injury to come back from. I was looking down here at Sandy Alomar down at first base. I know he's had that surgery a few times, so he's got some guys around him that can share with him. But the biggest thing, and almost I was trying to describe it earlier, it's something that's going to hang around, and you almost have to kind of turn those nerves off, those pain nerves off, because you're going to have it from here on out.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever heal.
2-1 the count on Laporta. He's their first baseman. And the next pitch. That one misses outside. Indians did not bring their starting double play combination, and that's Cabrera and Cabrera, as Grubel and Orlando OC, the former Angel. The 3-1 pitch. That's a called strike. Kazmir has started off the game, setting down the first 4 in a row. And no one has hit the ball hard against him so far. Just 3 pop-ups, a couple in foul ground last inning, and a strikeout. See what happens on the payoff, the 3-2. And he missed outside with that fastball. He walks him. So the Florida has a 1-out walk to their first base runner, and Chad Huffman will be the next batter.
Yeah, Kazmir pitching that side of the mound that he's on. He likes to work that outside corner. Likes to let that ball tail on him a little bit and try to catch that corner. He missed, though, pretty good on that one.
Huffman is a right-handed hitter. Kazmir is set. Here's the pitch. And that is low and inside. Good block by Conger, who's behind the plate. The Angels defensively today have Wilson playing first, Kendrick at second. His Torres is the third baseman with Ibar at short. And in the outfield, Vernon Wells in left field. Peter Borges in center. Torrey Hunter in right. Bobby Abreu is the DH. And Hank Conger behind the plate. Kazmir on the hill. Toss over to first base. The runner, Porter, who's not a real big base stealer by any stretch, gets back in plenty of time. Dimensions here in Tempe. It goes 340 down the left side, 420 to center, and 367 to right. Here's the next one. That's low and inside, and Conger's going to walk the baseball back to Kazmir with the count 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, he's obviously struggling to find that strike zone again with that fastball. 3-2 missed away pretty good, and then now he's trying to come back in there, and just looks like he's trying to throw it over the plate, and he's missing inside. So maybe not able to control that two-seam movement or whatever it is, that movement he puts on it to make it tail.
Little meeting between pitcher and catcher wraps up. Two and 0 is the count as Kazmir is ready. He delivers, and that's right in there for a strike. On the heart of the plate, 2-1. Fans, don't forget the home opener is approaching fast. Get your free 50th anniversary shirt courtesy of Nitto Tires on Friday, April the 8th. Angels take on Toronto. Game time at 7:05. The home opener will include a pregame flyover. The first pitch by the very first Angel, Eli Gerba. As that 2-1 delivery catches the outside corner. That's a strike, 2-2. Don't forget you can purchase tickets for the home opener on April the 8th by going to angels.com or stop by the Angels Stadium ticket office. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch, and that one didn't miss by much. That was a tough pitch to take there, and Huffman gets the call, so it's a full count, 3-2.
Yeah. Wow. Ted Barrett back there. He's a great umpire. I don't know if maybe that one fooled him a little bit.
Here's the payoff. Runner goes. The ball's ripped fair down the third base side. It's going to roll down in the left field corner. The ball just gotten to by Vernon Wells. They're going to send that lead runner, Laporta. He will score all the way from first base on a 1-out RBI double by Huffman. It's 1-0 Cleveland. That was a ball scorched up the third base line. No chance for his tourist to stop it, and it rolled all the way down in left field, down in the corner, and foul ground by the time Vernon Wells could retrieve it. So the Indians strike first.
Well, the unfortunate part, Kazmir probably had him struck out the pitch before. And
right.
Turns into a double, an RBI double.
Here's Valbuena batting. And the first pitch on its way. He's a left-handed batter. That one is in a little bit off the plate for ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
You know, that's one of those opportunities Ken Revisa, the mental coach, talks about, is that last pitch. You got to let it go. Be focused on the next pitch. Take a deep breath. Next pitch. Scott might have lost a little bit of focus or concentration, or maybe just kind of laid it in there a little bit more than he wanted to, but a nice rip down the line.
Yep. 1 ball, 1 strike on Valbuena. Here's the next pitch. He takes that one. It's blocked nicely by Conger. A pitch that missed for ball 2. 2-1. Casimir just breezed through the first inning, but here in the second inning, he's already allowed a runner in scoring position with 1 out, and again, another ball game where he's having some early inning trouble now. See if he can minimize the damage in this inning. The pitch, that's outside.
Well, he definitely in the first inning he had command of the strike zone, with his pitches. And this inning came out, was laboring a little bit, got behind and got the walk. And most hitters to this point have been hitting in their counts.
There's a ball. It's lifted high and deep down the right field side, but it's pulled foul down in the parking lot area. The player's left down that right side.
And I know those guys in the well, actually, they're in the field right now. They're all probably taking a peek to see, okay, whose car was over there? Was that mine?
A full count. 3-2 pitch. Smacked foul on the right side. What was it a few springs ago? Didn't Artie Moreno's car get struck by a foul ball in the lot? And, got the windshield, I think. Not mistaken.
Boy, I tell you what, there's probably 2 or 3 windshields that get taken out a year, it seems like, down there. It all depends on when you show up at the park. If you show up early, you get good parking. If you show up late, you're stuck parking behind the fence there.
There you go. 3-2, and there's a swing and a miss. He went right after him on the inside part of the plate, struck him out.
Yeah, he set that up nicely. Threw a nice 3-2 changeup right before that, and then came back with a good hard fastball tailing inside. Kind of threw it by him right there. Yeah, I was going to comment on that previous pitch, a 3-2 changeup. That's something good to work with. I mean, but in this situation, not throwing strikes, it kind of surprised me that he threw it, but he was able to throw it for a strike, and then it set up the next pitch, and he threw it right by him.
So here's Everett batting, and he takes that one for a strike. 0-1 the count. Adam Everett, a veteran player, now 34 years old, spent some time with Detroit last year, and he's just trying to win a reserve spot with Cleveland in the infield this season. 0-1. That one misses inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Casimir's going to walk off the mound and collect his thoughts out there.
Well, he's missing a lot with that fastball, that tailing fastball inside. He's trying to throw it in on the right-hander's hip, kind of, and let it tail back over the plate, and he's just, for some reason, he's not able to get it there. Keeps missing inside.
That's a pitch that swung on and missed. He got Everett to chase that one. 1-2 the count. In the inning, they've scored a run with a hit and a walk. It's 1-0 Cleveland here in the second. The 1-2 pitch. Popped foul on the right side, backing out of play. Terry Smith along with Tim Salmon. Victor Rojas will be joining us for our simulcast today on the Angels Baseball Network and Diablo Vision on Fox Sports West. Victor will be in for innings 4, 5, 6, and 7. He'll join Tim for the middle part of the ball game. The 1-2, a little bit low off speed, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Had a chance to throw that slider there. Bounced it probably a little bit lower than he wanted it, but with a ball and a strike, or I'm sorry, 1 ball and 2 strikes, that's kind of where you want it. You want to see if that hitter can expand the zone there and chase it.
2 outs, a runner at second. The count even, the 2-2 pitch. It's popped in the air into left center field. That's going to fall in and drive in a run. Being waved around and coming in to score is Huffman, and a good job of 2-strike hitting there by Everett. Single into left center field. It's 2-0 Cleveland.
Yeah, that's kind of a shame. That was a changeup right there. I think Scott threw it actually in a pretty decent place. Yeah, in a pretty nice place there, but Adam Everett did a great job of keeping his hands back and just got enough of it to loop it into left field. Good pitching, though. I mean, those are those kind of hits that you just got to, hey, shake your head. All right, hey, good hitting. I made a good pitch. He made a good swing at it.
Runner at first goes. The pitch is strike. Throw to second. Got him. Boy, Conger with a perfect throw down there to Ibar, and they get Everett. The inning is over on the 2-6 caught stealing. In the inning, They do get 2 runs. They had a pair of hits, a walk in the inning, no errors, and nobody left. We're headed to the bottom of the second, 2-0 Cleveland on the Angels Baseball Network. Angel fans, don't forget there are premium seating options at the Big A with 2 great options that include access to the Diamond Club restaurant, Diamond Field Box seats on the field next to the Angels or visitors dugout, or tables on the Diamond Club patio behind home plate. For info or to order your tickets, call 888-796-HALO. First batter for the Angels is Vernon Wells. First pitch was in there in the 0-1. He grounds one right on the right side. It's handled there by the second baseman Nix, and he'll throw out Vernon Wells, one away. 4-3 on the ground out, and the batter now will be the shortstop Ibar.
Yeah, Masterson's tough on righties with that sinking action, and you can see Torrey Hunter went up there swinging the first pitch, broke his bat. You're looking for that sinker out over the plate. Hopefully it comes back on you, and Vernon was trying to do the same thing. It just ran a little bit more on him and jammed him.
Ibar's having a solid spring. He's hitting .342, and he hits one sharply down to stop it as the third baseman Valbuena, and he gets up and throws him out. Boy, that one got on top of Valbuena in a hurry. He was playing in to start with, but he made a nice play to rob Ibar of a hit.
Yeah, that was great defense right there. Stayed down on it. That might have been that was at least a double. With Ibar's speed, it gets down that corner. It could have been 3.
Sure. So here's Wilson with 2 quick outs, and Bobby takes the first one low and in.
Yeah, that is 2 quick outs.
Masterson has that sinker working here. The Angels hitting a lot of balls on the ground. Pitch on its way. That's outside. 2-0.
First slider we've seen, I think. For Masterson right there, you can see the movement from up here. Good action on it.
The next delivery, that one's bounced foul on the third base side. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, I didn't like facing sinker ballers too much. And usually those are the games you go into it saying, you know, if he's throwing strikes, I'm going to be aggressive early in the zone, early in the count. But if he's showing that he's a little wild, I'll wait him out. But typically, right-handed sinker ballers are tough on right-handed hitters because the ball just seems to get under their swing. You know, if you're keeping your hands inside, you're always just kind of swinging over the top of it. And it's really tough to put it in play. A lot of foul balls, a lot of hard-hit ground balls, but nothing really squared up.
Tough to elevate. There's one fouled back to the screen by Wilson. Masterson in 180 innings last season allowed 14 home runs, so he did a pretty good job keeping the ball in the ballpark, which you would expect from a sinker ball pitcher.
Yeah, typically I'd be curious to see most of them are against lefties.
And there's a pitch that's waved at and missed by Wilson. He was fooled on the off-speed pitch, struck him out, and that'll end the inning. So the Angels have a quiet second. No runs, hits, or errors, and nobody left. Second strikeout in the game for Masterson. We go to the fans, the Angels are giving away free fleece blankets courtesy of Yokohama Tires to all fans when the Angels take on these Cleveland Indians at the Big A on Tuesday, April the 12th. This game sells out every year, and great seats are going fast. Visit the Angels Stadium ticket office or log on to angels.com to purchase seats today. There's a bunt on the first base side that the Angels first baseman Bobby Wilson had a hustle and stop, and then Howie Kendrick had a hustle and cover first base, and they do nip Herrera, who tried to bunt. That was a pretty good bunt, but they get him for out number one.
You know, that's one of those looks Bobby needs to experience here in spring training. What another great opportunity for him to see something a little bit different than the norm. Kind of expecting Kazmir to come and cover that bag. Kazmir was pointing at him, probably yelling at him something, and he was able to turn and still make a good throw to Howie, who was moving, trying to find the base at the same time.
Yeah, there were a lot of people on the move over there on that right side, and that was well-executed defensive play by the Angels.
Bang, bang play even.
Yep. So here's Santana batting. First pitch a strike, and that one is in there for a called strike, and he's in the hole 0-2.
Yeah, getting back to Bobby, it's just there again, the fact that he made the play and he didn't panic, and those are great signs for Soch right now as he's started to formulate maybe some of his options at first base, and how Bobby might be able to fit into this lineup.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count on Carlos Santana. Good young catching prospect, and that pitch is a little bit low.
Slider in, down and in.
2-2 is the count.
Haven't seen Scott throw his slider for a strike yet. Not sure if he's intending it to be down out of the zone like that, or a lot of times those lefties will throw it, try to get you to chase and swing over the top of it.
There's a fastball that's low and in, so he's run another full count here. It's 3-2. Santana, a switch hitting catcher. He had an injury issue last season with Cleveland, and he fouls that one back to the screen. He had a torn lateral ligament last season in his left knee. He had surgery in August of last season. Began last year in AAA, got called up to Cleveland, was really playing well when he suffered that injury at the major league level. Payoff pitch, and that is just outside, ball 4.
Well, that's that tailing fastball again, and I don't know if he's necessarily trying to catch the corner with it, but with that kind of movement, just throwing it right down the middle of the plate. Has enough movement on it to get the out. Didn't look like Hank was set up outside. I just think that's some of that inconsistency, trying to find that feel for his strike zone.
Jason Nix will bat. Infielder playing second base today for Cleveland. The pitch. That's outside. It misses ball one. 1 ball, no strikes. Nix, a former first-round pick of the Rockies back in 2001. He has a brother, Lance, who signed with the Washington Nationals during the offseason, trying to make their club. The pitch. That's fouled back behind home, out of play. Nix last year hit just .224 between stops with the White Sox, where he began last season, and he was acquired by Cleveland. Casimir set. And here's the pitch. That's a little bit outside, just missed.
Yeah, Ted Barrett back there's established that he's not going to give him that ball off the plate there. That tail and fastball, he's going to have to readjust those sights and bring it so it covers a little bit more plate.
2 balls, 1 strike. The next delivery, that one is low, so it's 3-1. So Casimir is falling behind. He walked the last batter, Santana.
Well, I think a lot of the issues, you know, when you've been a struggling pitcher, I think a lot of the times that you can eradicate a lot of that just by working ahead in the count and trying not to make the perfect pitch right away, but just kind of always working around that plate, getting ahead of the hitter, and instead of working behind the hitter.
There's a pitch in there for a strike. It's a full count.
I always felt as a hitter, the more pitches I could see, you know, the better chance it was that I was going to square up a ball that I swung at it. And anytime you're working 2-1, 3-1 behind in the count as a pitcher, you're giving that hitter another look at your delivery and what the ball movement it has. And
that pitch there hit well, but foul down the left side.
Well, he's had 4 fastballs to look at, and zoned him in pretty good, and he threw it out over the heart of the plate, and it got hit pretty good. So hitters always trying to work ahead in the count, getting a hitter's count, and pitchers need to be flip-flopping it on them.
See what gives on the next 3-2 payoff pitch. Here it comes, and he walks him just a little bit outside. Casimir has had some borderline pitches go against him, and now Mike Scioscia is going to go out to the mound. We're not going to have a pitching change here, but the infield will talk things over, and I'm sure Mike has a word or two for Casimir and Conger, the battery.
Well, I would venture to say that he's probably talking. I mean, when Scioscia makes a jog out to mound like this, he's probably seeing some frustration, or he's probably frustrated, saying, "Hey, come on, you know, maybe you're nitpicking around the corners too much. You know, let your stuff work. Throw it down the middle of the plate. Let your movement work. Work ahead in the count." You know, he's kind of seeing the same things we are, and all of us that are, you know, at the game watching it. Boy, you're missing just off the plate, and you keep giving these hitters another look at that ball, and they start to take good swings. Just let your stuff work. He's got good stuff. He throws in the low 90s. That ball tails. You know, throw it down the middle of the plate and just let it work. You're going to find yourself getting outs.
Here's Kearns batting, and he takes a fastball on the outside corner, 0-1. It just seems, going back to all of last season and for the most part this spring as well, that Casimir just cannot have any easy innings for the most part. He had one in the first inning today, but it always seems like he's behind in the count, pitching with runners on base, prone to high pitch counts, and that's not an easy road to follow if you're a pitcher.
Well, you got to trust your stuff, and you got to believe when the coaches or people around you are telling you have good stuff. You got to believe in it, and you just got to trust that, hey, you know, just go out there and let it fly, and you know, believe the coaches and everybody's telling you that, hey, if you just throw strikes, you're going to be successful. You know, it's a game of confidence, really, and you know, I think sometimes, I always felt as a hitter, I think sometimes I give the pitcher too much credit, and I think the pitchers are up there giving the hitters too much credit.
Right. 1 ball, 2 strikes here on Kearns. Casimir in front of him, and the next pitch, that one is drilled into left center field. Wells is chasing, but he's not going to be able to get to it as that ball smacks off the base of the wall. 1 run will score, another is being waved around, That's going to be a 2-run double on a 2-strike pitch for Kearns, and now it's 4-0 Cleveland.
And then every once in a while you lay it in there, they hit it good.
Yeah, they sure did there. So the walks in the inning come back to take a bite out of Kazmir. He walked Santana and Nix. They just scored on that double. And the batter now will be Duncan.
Well,
here's the pitch, and that's hit hard but foul down the right side. Indians have had only 3 hits, but they've scored 4 runs. And every batter that Kazmir has walked so far has scored. He's walked 3. They've all come in.
Yeah, walks kill you. Walks do come around to score.
Here's the next pitch. This one is lifted in the air into medium left center field. It's playable. Camping under, making the grab is Vernon Wells, the runner at second base. Kearns holding. Duncan is retired. 2 outs in the inning, and here's Laporta. Well, coming into this ball game, Kazmir's ERA this spring was pretty good, really, 3.38. But that does not necessarily mean. Sometimes numbers can be deceiving either way. And he's having a tough outing today. He just has not pitched at the kind of bounce back level, I guess, this spring that the Angels were hoping for. It's been a challenging spring for him. It's not over yet.
Well, as a hitter, I'd always say, am I getting myself out or are they getting me out? And I think from a pitcher standpoint, it's kind of the same thing. You know, he has a lot to blame for the problems he's having because he's walked 3 guys. I mean, you know, outside of that last hit, I think there was one down the line. They've hit a couple balls off him pretty good, but for the most part, you know, you get yourself in trouble working behind in the count, and you end up having to lay it in there. Guys are going to get some good swings off you.
There's a pitch that's outside. The count on Laporta, 1 ball, 1 strike. When the Angels bat in the bottom of the 3rd, trailing right now 4-0. Conger, Borges, and Asturias 8-9, and the top of the batting order will step up. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss.
Take something off that, maybe a little change up. He's got good stuff. He's just really got to believe it. And I think that's the thing Mike Butcher is really pounding at him. Yeah, there's some mechanical things maybe he's thinking about, but you know, you got to get back to just trusting your stuff and competing and throwing strikes.
The 2-2. This one is lifted into shallow right field. Kendrick, the second baseman, goes back and makes the catch in front of Torrey Hunter, and that'll end the inning. But another 2-run inning for the Indians here in the 3rd. They get 2 runs on 1 hit, 2 walks, no errors, and they leave 1. Bottom of the 3rd coming up. Angels need runs, trailing 4-0 on the Angels Baseball Network. We move to the bottom of the third inning, and the first batter up for the Angels is Hank Conger. He'll bat for the first time today. Then Borges, and there's Turris. Next pitch on Conger, a switch hitter batting left. That one is low and in, and the count 1-1 There is a new shortstop in the ball game for the Indians, and taking over at that position is Juan Diaz. And Tim, I think Everett or Adam Everett hurt himself when he tried to steal second base a couple of innings ago.
Yeah, I remember watching it from up here thinking, how is he out? I mean, he definitely beat the throw, but on replay they showed that I believe it was Izzy's foot was right in front of the bag and his hand slid right into the foot, and he, maybe he hurt one of his fingers or something. Watches that left hand as it slides in, it hits the foot. Called him out because he never got to the base, but you can see him right there. You could just kind of see him hold his hand down a little bit like he'd maybe caught a thumb or something there.
Yeah, he stayed kneeling down near the bag for a little longer than you would expect. Here's a chopper foul right by the plate, so the count holding at 3-2.
That's why we don't let little leaguers slide head first.
There you go.
It's the big league, so I get it. I understand.
So 3-2 on Conger. Angels down 4-0 here in the bottom of the third, and the pitch has fouled into the Angels dugout on the first base side. Hank Conger this spring, 4 for 24. That's a 167 batting average. Three-two pitch, and that's ball 4. So the Angels get their first walk. The Indians have already had 3 of them in the game. Angels have the leadoff man on. That's a good sign. And here's Peter Borges.
Yeah, a guy like Masterson, he really, from an offensive standpoint, I think you see the ball, you really have a better look at the ball from the left side of the plate, and kind of made Masterson make some adjustments to his delivery, and obviously didn't find the zone there, but he's tough on righties, but I'm sure lefties could get a better look at him.
Here's Peter Borges batting, and the first pitch up and in dusts him off the plate a little bit. Borges having a solid spring, hitting .344. Like Sochi was saying before the ball game today, that he feels Peter Borges is better now in the batter's box than at any time when he saw him last season in the big leagues with the Angels when he got his call up from AAA Salt Lake.
Well, he's getting more comfortable without a doubt. I mean, that first call-up opportunity is, there's a lot going through your head, and maybe trying to do too much. You don't know the pitchers as well, and kind of the sense of, do I belong? You're kind of going through all those emotions, and I think now he feels like he belongs here. He's been given the opportunity. He sees that he fits in, and that confidence is shown at the plate.
2-1 is the count on Borges. Next delivery, that's inside, so all of a sudden Masterson having some location issues. He's fallen behind, 3 balls and a strike.
Yeah, sometimes when guys are dealing, just get a runner on base, do something to change it up, have him throw out the stretch, and see if it makes a difference. And he's struggling a little bit here, finding that zone on those righties.
3-1 pitch. There's a bunt. Nicely done on the third base side. The pitcher comes off the mound field and really doesn't have a shot. He throws to first base, but easily safe on that bunt base hit is Peter Borges. Runners at first and second.
That's just a great piece of hitting right there. Boy, when Peter's name gets out there in the league a little bit more, I think pitchers will be advised to just put that one in their back pocket, because it was not even close. No play at all. I've been really impressed. Yesterday, Peter had an at-bat, leading off, I think, the 6th inning. Worked the count 3-1, and I was thinking to myself, okay, 3-1, leading off an inning, he needs to get on base. Your typical leadoff hitter is going to take a pitch right there, make the pitcher keep working, and he did. And he ended up working the walk, and I thought, that to me is a sign of maturing and really understanding, what the role of a leadoff hitter is. And even though he was only the 6th inning, it was still a good sign.
Sure. Batting now is Meiser's Torres with 2 on and nobody out. He showed signs of bunting and takes the pitch, and the count 1 ball, no strikes.
This game, it requires so much confidence at the plate, and somebody like Peter getting the bats he's getting and showing that he's starting to relax and feel confident that he can hit with 2 strikes and work the count. Those are great signs for this lineup, because I think ultimately, you know, he's the kind of guy, he's a top of the lineup guy. You want him getting on base, using his wheels, set the tone, and trying to make some things happen.
Indians are going to have a little meeting at the mound. Their pitching coach, Tim Belcher, will go out and have a word with Masterson. The catcher, Santana, goes out there as well. And as they meet on the mound, we want to remind Angel fans why pay $20 for a new beanie on Saturday, April the 9th. And that's coming up in just a few weeks at the Big A. It'll be free ski beanie night at the ballpark, courtesy of Smart and Final. The Angels will take on Toronto with game time at 6:05. You can purchase your tickets for that game by visiting the Angel Stadium ticket office or log on to angelsbaseball.com. Terry Smith along with Tim Salmon. Victor Rojas will join us next inning for play-by-play action. Darren Chan, our producer-engineer, here on the Angels Baseball Network and Diablo Vision on Fox Sports West. It's 4-0 Cleveland. Still early in the ball game. We're in the bottom of the 3rd. Masterson delivers, and that pitch right in there for a strike.
Well, the offense has been clicking the last few games and hitting with men in scoring position, and we got the top of the lineup with a couple men out there. Let's see if they can take advantage of it. Just keep swinging those hot bats with men in scoring position.
2-1 pitch. That one is popped into shallow center field. It's going to fall in for a base hit. The runners had to play it kind of halfway. Not sure whether Pereira, the center fielder, would be able to make the play, but that dropped a few feet in front of him. Now they're loaded, and Howie Kendrick will be the batter.
Yeah, with no outs, you can't break on that. You got to kind of freeze and hold up a little bit, make sure that it's going to fall. I think Hank had a good feeling it was going to fall, but he just wanted to hang out a little closer just in case that young outfielder decided to make a dazzling catch out there and dive for it.
As Torres, who just got that blue pit, will leave the game. I don't think there was any injury there. I think his day is just done. And Brandon Wood has come in to pinch run, so the bases are loaded. Howie Kendrick's at the plate. The first pitch in there for a strike. Angels have a shot to get right back in this ball game. 0-1 pitch. Howie swings and misses a pitch way low and breaking outside for strike 2.
That's that slider. It's a tough one. Howie was pounded in last go around and just swung at that slider. Hadn't seen it yet. That's a tough pitch to hit. You got to see it a couple times to get a gauge on it.
So he's deep in the hole, and the 2-strike delivery gave him another one there, and he laid off that one. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bobby Abreu, who's hitting out of the 3-hole today. He's waiting on deck. Abreu's had 10 RBIs this spring with 11 hits. The pitch, and boy, that pitch missed just a little bit outside. Ted Barrett's had a pretty tight strike zone today.
Well, you know, Ted's a great umpire. I mean, he won't expand the zone. He's going to call a strike a strike. If he calls it a strike, it's in the Major League rule book as a strike.
All right. There's one that's fouled back by Kendrick. It hit off the backstop and ricochets all the way back to the home plate umpire, Ted Barrett.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. Just a great guy, calm, cool and collected. He'll talk to you. He won't get upset if you question him.
Bases loaded, no outs. 4-0 Cleveland, bottom of the 3rd. The next pitch on Howie, that one is high and outside, so Masterson has seen the count run full. A walk would mean a run.
Well, he's worked away to Howie this whole at bat here. It'd be interesting to see if he tries to hit that 2-seamer inside.
3 balls, 2 strikes. We'll see what gives. Here it comes, and it's fouled off on the right side, backing out of play. So the count holding at 3 balls and 2 strikes on Kendrick, who's driven in 6 runs this spring. With Borges, the runner at second with the bases loaded, a hit right here could very easily bring in 2 runs. Payoff once again, fouled off once again on the right side, out of play.
Howie's battling right now. He's keeping that slider's in the back of his mind right now, and that's why he's letting that fastball travel a little bit. It's a great at bat. That's the way you're supposed to approach it with 2 strikes. Let the ball travel, and keep using your hands, and if that fastball stays out over the plate, just react to it and hopefully drive it to right center field.
3-2 pitch. That's lined into right center, and that's going to drop in and drive in at least 2. Falling down is Kearns after he got to the ball. The Angels are going to wave a 3rd run home, and that will score without a throw as Wood comes in all the way from first base. Kendrick is at second. He's brought in 3 runs, and the Angels cut the lead to 4-3. That'll be a single. Also an error on the right fielder, Kearns, who fell down trying to stop that ball out there and had it roll away from him just a bit. 2 runs batted in for Kendrick. He's at second, and here's Bobby Abreu.
Well, that play started with a great at-bat, great approach by Howie there, staying inside the ball, letting it travel, but it really finished with some great base running by Brandon Wood there. He was motoring all the way around, didn't let up, was watching Dino, let Dino be his eyes.
There's a liner by Abreu that's going to fall in for a hit. Kendrick will be waved home. He'll score without a throw. Bobby Abreu keeps up his hot hitting. He had the big day yesterday. He drives in another run with that hit and ties the game at 4. So just like that, the Angels waste little time coming back from a 4-run deficit to tie up the ball game here. And still nobody out in the inning with 4 runs in. Torrey Hunter will be the next batter.
Bobby did a great job of hitting there, being aggressive early in the count, looking for that little sinker out over the plate where the man in scoring position. Great approach by a professional hitter there.
Here's Hunter batting, and the runner goes Abreu. The ball's popped in the air on the right side. The first baseman in foul ground, Laporta, will make the catch, and then hustling back to first base will be Abreu. So Torrey may be a little over anxious there after the first pitch.
I believe that was a hit and run.
So he will head back.
Well, I don't know if it would have been a hit and run. Maybe he was just stealing. He thought he had more of a run and hit.
Yeah.
Maybe not something that was given from Dino, but saw the runner break and thought he'd just take a good pass at it and try to hit it behind the runner.
So here's Wells batting with 1 out. Abreu still at first base. Masterson's pitch.
Nice
That's
pitch.
in there for a strike. Let's pause for station identification here on the Angels Baseball Network. Oh, 1 pitch on Vernon. A big cut and a miss at that one. He's down, no balls, 2 strikes.
That's an interesting at bat here for Vernon. His first at bat, he was trying to figure out how to hit that running sinker, running fastball on his hands, and he's up there maybe cheating a little bit, looking for it, and Justin's throwing him 2 back-to-back sliders. Pretty good sliders, actually.
2-strike pitch. This one is bounced to second. It's stopped there by Nix, who throws to first base, and then Bobby Abreu was kind of caught in between there. He jammed on the brakes, and then they tag him out as well. And the inning is over on kind of an odd-looking double play. So that'll do it here for the Angels, but a good inning for the Halos, who score 4 to tie it. The Angels did it with 4 hits, also a walk, no errors, and no one left. We've completed 3. We head to the 4th. Victor Rojas will be alongside to join Tim Salmon when we return. We're tied at 4 going to the 4th on the Angels Baseball Network.
Top of the fourth inning here at Tempe Diablo Stadium, a 4-4 tie. Victor Rojas along with Tim Salmon. Scott Kazmir, 3 innings of work thus far, 4 runs, 3 hits allowed, and 3 walks. Had a very easy 1-2-3 inning in the first inning. The last 2 innings, however, have been a little bit shaky as Chad Huffman, the outfielder, has a no-ball, 2-strike count. 6, 7, and 8 do it for the Tribe here in the top of the fourth inning. Kazmir's off-speed pitch in the dirt. It bounds away from Conger, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes here on Huffman, who had an RBI double in the second inning and came around to score one of the 2 runs Scott gave up in the second. Tim, now I'm going to lean on you, big guys, because you are the veteran here in the booth, and this is my first spring training game with a microphone in front of my face. So no pressure.
I'm the crusty veteran.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, the minute I walked into this booth, the ratings just dumped off. Hoffman fouls that pitch off, and it's still a 1 ball, 2 strike count. What have you seen from Scott? I was next door watching the first couple innings. A lot of change-ups. Location's not that bad.
Well, this is the first hitter I've seen in a while where he's ahead in the count, where he can actually, throw some pitches and start working the corners. But, up to this point, it seems like he's been, really trying to work it in, work it out, and he's, missing and getting behind in the count. And, you know how it is. Anytime you're pitching behind in the count, you're going to get hit or you're going to end up putting men on base, and that's been the culprit to this point. All 3 walks have scored.
2-2 fastball, got him looking on the inside corner. Down goes Huffman. There's the first out.
See, I think to me that's the key. I mean, he was working, ahead in the count from his standpoint, and was able to kind of mix it up, work in and out. And I think it's just it's an overall feel that you have on the mound when you don't feel like you have to make the pitch. You can just let it fly, and he's got great movement. He's got to trust his stuff. That's the one thing Butch and Soch talk about is the guy's still got life in his arm and his ball has good movement. You just got to really trust it, not get so, nitpicky and mechanical and whatever else is going on upstairs.
Kazmir now with 3 walks to go with the 3 strikeouts as Valbuena takes that breaking ball down low. 1-0 pitch on the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Valbuena strikeout victim himself in the second inning. And it's funny you mentioned the cliche of trusting your stuff, and it's so much easier said than done. Valbuena gets jammed here, and it's 1-2. But the guy has so much ability, so much promise, that you sit there and you go, wait a second, at such a young age, why hasn't he been able to figure it out?
You know what? And he did. He did have it figured out. But anytime you go through injuries and where you have to start tweaking a few things, just to feel comfortable out there, that's when you get in trouble. And, he's had some injuries the last few years that, he's had to adjust some things in his mechanics. And, now he's starting to think about it. I mean, I know as a hitter, when I started breaking down and you start worrying about your hands or this or that, you're taking away focus from the number one priority, see the ball and hit it. Well, it's the same thing here. If he's thinking about his mechanics or his foot placement or his hands, now he's taking his focus off, the catcher's glove or, whatever his, keys were to make that pitch. And even though he's healthy now, he's got to, kind of start over again and work through that and build confidence with it to where he can get to where he's not thinking about the mechanics of it so much.
2-2 count here on Valbuena, third baseman. Fouls another pitch back. Good little battle here.
One of the things Soch said today in the meeting was, he's got easy gas. He really does. He throws 92 very easily, and he can still pump it up to maybe 95 when he has to. But, he's got to believe he's got something in the tank, and that just his stuff, throwing it right down the middle with movement, is enough to get major league hitters out if you're working ahead in the count. If you're working behind in the count, it's a different story.
Well, he got ahead of Valbuena. Now it's a full count at 3-2 with 1 out here in the fourth.
Through a 2-2 change up there. You got to try to throw it. He just, didn't have the release point down and threw it in the dirt. Well, this is the situation. I throw it right down the middle with some little bit of movement, see what happens.
Well, he took something off there. Valbuena fouling it off to the left.
I was telling Terry in between breaks a couple innings ago that, it kind of reminds me of Scott Shields. His ball had so much movement on it. He got in trouble when he tried to paint it in, paint it away. Hey, you put those crosshairs down the middle of the plate and let your stuff work, and you watch how many guys you get out.
Another foul ball straight back.
Boy, I'm getting some opportunities today.
It's
getting close.
That bullseye painted on your chest before we came on the air.
He's not liking what I'm saying.
The Indians with 2 runs in the second, 2 in the third. The Halos with 4 in the bottom of the third inning. Good off-speed pitch here, lifted in the air down the right field line. And Howie Kendrick calls off Bobby Wilson. There's out number 2.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity. You know, he threw a 3-2 off-speed pitch. That's great. I mean, he wants to be able to throw his off-speed pitches at any point in the count, and it's nice to see him have the confidence to be able to throw it, 3-2 there. It's really been his fastball in those 3-2 counts that he hasn't been able to locate, and that's the one that I'd be more concerned about, is just throw it right down the middle. Last inning, Sosha went out there and had a few words with him. It might have been something along those lines, is, hey, trust that fastball, quit trying to paint it. You're trying to hit spots, inside and outside. Throw it down the middle and let it work.
Juan Diaz steps to the plate. He's batting in Adam Everett's spot in the lineup. Everett was lifted because of a jammed thumb. Everett had the RBI single in the second inning. Diaz lining one out to center field. Borges, as always, a good beat on it. Makes the catch. How about Scott Kazmir with a 1-2-3 inning, second time in the game that he has done that. We head to the bottom of the 4th here in Tempe. We are knotted at 4 on the Angels Baseball Network. Bottom of the 4th at Tempe Diablo Stadium. 4-4 tie. Angels setting up 6, 7, and 8 themselves. Ibar, Wilson, and Conger against Justin Masterson. Masterson fairly effective the first couple of innings with a couple of strikeouts and just could not find the strike zone. Was erratic in the third, and the Halos made it pay for it. By scoring 4 runs and doing it on 4 hits. Ibar takes down low, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Eric 0 for 1 had a ground ball to third base in the second.
Eric had a nice day yesterday. Had some good situations to hit behind the runner and came away with a triple, an RBI triple at one point, and he's been swinging the bat well.
Well, the Angels certainly could use Eric's bat, especially the one that he possessed 2 years ago, as effective as he was. Down year last year.
Yeah, I think the offense. Strikes there. I think the offense kind of feeds off each other, and when you lose a guy like Morales, and it just kind of changes the dynamics of everything. People start hitting in different spots in the lineup. Maybe they're not used to. You're not getting that protection behind you. You're not getting that guy before you that would set up in a bat. It just kind of feeds off itself, and I think over time, hitters just find themselves kind of not swinging at the way they're used to swinging, or in the familiar situations they're used to.
Bobby Wilson takes ball 1 inside. Bobby 0 for 1 with a punch out in the second. It seemed as if, and as much time as you had in the big leagues, you could talk to this point with certainty, but at times last year, especially the last couple of months with Eric Ibar. It looked like he was at in-between stage. He wasn't sure what he was doing at the plate. You almost become lost. It's a fog when you're at the plate in that situation.
Well, it definitely is. I mean, you know, you go from hitting and, you know, I just even my last year, I mean, I'm hitting down the lineup in situations and guys are, you know, coming at me differently than what I was used to when I was healthy, hitting in the heart of the lineup. And I think, you know, when you're struggling, when you've gone through a period where you're struggling and guys are getting you out a certain way, it does seem like you're in a fog. It's like, why can't I make the adjustment?
Bobby takes outside. 3 balls, 2 strikes here on Wilson with 1 out. Nobody on. 4-4 tie here in the 4th. Masterson with 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. 5 hits allowed as Wilson chops this one foul. Couldn't ask for a more perfect day for baseball. A little hazy today, but
cooled off a little bit.
Yeah,
it was a little warmer. Yeah, it's. I guess we got a cold front rolling in next week.
Bobby takes a called strike 3 on the outside corner. There's out number 2.
That's a filthy pitch, you know. That's what makes Masterson so tough on righties. That sinking, you know, fastball inside, get you looking inside. He'll try to throw that changeup on you just to keep you honest from really turning on it. And then he throws that backdoor sinker on you. Looks like it's, you know, out of the hand, like it's going to be a ball, and it sneaks its way back over the back, that outside corner. He's a tough pitcher when he's throwing strikes and hitting the spots.
And Conger takes outside. He drew a walk to start the rally for the Angels in the 3rd inning. Came around to score the first run.
Good to see Hank. This is my first opportunity to see Hank catch him. One of those young prospects that has a lot of ability and, you know, just looking for his opportunity. I had a chance in spring as a guest coach to talk with some of these younger guys, and, you know, one of the things I come away with is, you know, there's a sense of, you know, a little bit of pressure in the sense that they feel like they got to perform, and they really do.
Boy, a nice play by Jason Nix going to his left, robbing Conger of a base hit. Masterson returns the favor. He sits the Angels down in order. We have 4 in the books at Tempe. It is a 4-4 tie on the Angels Baseball Network. Hey folks, opening night is approaching fast. Get your free 50th anniversary shirt courtesy of Nitto Tires Friday, April the 8th when the Angels take on the Blue Jays at 7:05 p.m. at the Big A. Opening night will include a pregame flyover and the first pitch by the very first Angel, Eli Gerba. Purchase your tickets today at Angel Stadium ticket office or online at angels.com. Top of the 5th at Tempe Diablo Stadium. Victor Rojas along with Tim Salmon, our producer engineer. Darren Chad. Can I say our producer engineer? Right, I'm part of the team now, right? Probably the last time you guys let me on radio. 9, 1, and 2 due up for Cleveland. Carrera takes that breaking ball outside, goes off the glove of Conger. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, that was a great last inning there for Casimir. He's kind of had a good inning the first one. Second one kind of got roughed up, and actually the middle 2 innings got roughed up, and had a nice 1-2-3 inning last go around.
3 punch outs, 3 walks for Scott. Plan is for him to go 90 pitches in this one. Up to 6 innings. That's the hope.
Yeah, this is the situation. You don't want to throw a 3-0 to that leadoff hitter, but it's just that consistency, and that's what's pulling, I'd say, the hair out of Butch, but he didn't have much.
Long gone.
Long gone. Whatever's left, he's shaving it, so. I could say that about Butch. We played in the minor leagues together. I've known him a long time. When he did have hair.
Those are kind of things you could say when you venture over to the dark side here on the media side of the building.
Yeah.
Casimir gives up the leadoff walk here to start the 5th inning. Brings up Carlos Santana.
Yeah, the dark side. That's Scioscia's vernacular for what I've become. 2 weeks ago, I was in as a coach and on his coaches meetings, and now I'm in here with a press pass on, sitting in with the media.
Right. Eating free food. Right. It's a bear, isn't it, being on the dark side?
Yeah, it is. Hope I don't lose his confidence. I hope he can share with me some things, or at least let me. I'm going in as a coach next week, and hopefully he'll let me in on his coaches meetings.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. He gives me a hard time. He gives a lot of guys a hard time, doesn't he?
Just because he can.
Just because he can.
And he's good at it.
He's good at it. Kind of loosens things up, keeps everybody in check. But I tell you, I really enjoy sitting in on those coaches meetings. You really learn a lot about the game and the preparation going behind everything they're doing. And I tell you what, Scioscia doesn't miss a beat. He doesn't miss anything. He was talking to Fredo one day about, I think it was Ibar and his footwork and, fielding a certain kind of a ground ball. And he was up there demonstrating in front of all these coaches. And, and I'm thinking, wow, you were a catcher. How do you know that much, But he does. He doesn't miss a beat. He knows it all.
Santana with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. He's popped out and walked. One of the 2 walks, back-to-back walks that Casimir issued in the 3rd inning. Both of those walks coming around to score. Off-speed pitch down low. It's 2 balls and a strike. Well, the Indians certainly looking forward to having Carlos Santana around for a full season. Top prospects behind the plate. Horrible injury for him last year at Fenway Park. This one ripped toward the hole. Nice stop by Ibar over to Howie for 1. Little trouble on the relay. May have gotten spiked. They do get the lead runner. There's out number 1.
Well, that was a great play by Eric right there. Spun around, just got it to Howie just in time. That's a play right there. Howie's just got to bounce out of. Trying to complete that double play is only going to get him hurt.
Well, it looks like Scott. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say the runner was bearing down on him hard. Got a little bit of him.
Casimir looks like he is done reaching the pitch count as Mike Scioscia has come out and already pointed to the bullpen. So Scott goes 4 1/3 in this one with 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. Leads with property on at first base. We got a pitching change here at Tempe Diablo Stadium. It is a 4-4 tie as we play here the 5th on the Angels Baseball Network. Christian Scholl comes into the game in place of Scott Kazmir here with 1 out in the 5th inning. Scholl pitching in his 3rd game in big league camp this year. 1-0, 21.60 ERA. Just an inning and 2/3 of work this spring. Not too many guys on the mound sporting a single-digit number. Scholl wearing number 9.
Number 9. Yeah, he pitched the other day over at Arizona and ended up getting the win, but actually didn't have that great of an inning. He works ahead in the count, throws a lot of strikes, quick to the plate, but kind of got hurt leaving some 2-strike pitches out over the plate. But we came back in the top half of that next inning and answered and ended up taking the lead for good, so he got the win.
He's facing Jason Nix here with 1 out, and Santana over at first base. And the first pitch is hit for a strike.
Kazmir didn't quite make the 6-inning plateau that Soch was hoping for, but hit his pitch mark, 90 pitches or whatever it was that they were looking for. Threw a few more balls there, walked a few more guys. You can just get some of that ironed out. He would have had a nice outing.
4 1/3, 3 strikeouts, 4 walks. Allowed 3 hits.
He's got good stuff when he throws strikes and he believes in it. And, that's what keeps Butch and those guys, really working hard with him. He can be a valuable pitcher to this rotation. Just continue to get him figured out.
Scholl falls behind here on Nix, the second baseman. 2 balls and 1 strike. Christian, not a big guy, 5'11", listed at 195 pounds, 8th round pick in 08. Green River Community College up in Auburn, Washington. Nix lifts a fly ball to left. Vernon is there. He's out number 2.
Scholl's kind of got a little bit of a short arm action. Gets the ball and goes with it. Works quick. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a deception to the hitter.
He spent all of last year at Rancho Cucamonga. He was 2-1 with a 3.41 ERA, working strictly in relief. 38 games, 1 save. With 5 career starts under his belt in the minor leagues. That was in 09. Starts Austin Kearns with a fastball for a strike. Kearns 1 for 2, popped up in the first inning and a 2 RBI double in the 3rd. His 4th double of the spring, now with 5 runs batted in. Chopped foul. No ball, 2 strike count.
Yeah, that was his last at bat was off Kazmir, and I was noticing during that at bat, Scott kept trying to. Seemed like pant the corner, and he gave Austin about 3 or 4 looks at that fastball. And when he finally had it come to him, Austin didn't miss it. He put a nice swing on it in the gap, and that happens when you give him that many good looks at your fastball when it's just out of the zone.
Scholl, that bridge guy in spring training games to get you to the guys that really need to get some work. Michael Kahn is supposed to pitch in this one. So is Hasunori Takahashi.
Well, Scholl last outing he was always ahead in the count, and a couple of the at bats, a couple of the hitters I should say, he was 0-2, and he'd throw that next pitch right down the middle and got hit hard, and 0-2 here again, and he's throwing balls around that are at least close and making them swing at it, but.
Boy, nice play by Hank Conger. Almost makes a fantastic play, but
that is an ill-advised throw right there.
No doubt.
I guarantee you Soch is going to have a word with him on that one. Just put it in your pocket, give him the base. Not going to throw anybody out from there.
It's a wild pitch and an error on Conger, allowing Santana to get to third base.
Hank's in one of those unenviable positions where, he's trying to make a club, he's trying to, show something, and his opportunities maybe aren't what he would hope they would be. So when he's in there and he's trying to shine and maybe make the spectacular play, and there again you're going outside of really what you should be doing. Just play the game the way it should be played and make the right decisions, and stay away from the unnecessary throws.
Oh, nice slider there. Gets Kearns. That is the third out of the inning. Nice job by Christian Scholl getting Nix to fly out, getting the strikeout, and leaving Santana stranded at third base. Middle of the fifth here at Tempe Diablo Stadium. We are still tied at 4 on the Angels Baseball Network.
Angels, Monday at 1 on Fox Sports West.
Tied at 4 on a gorgeous day in Tempe, Arizona. Bottom of the fifth inning. Peter Borges to lead things off, followed by Brandon Wood and then Howie Kendrick. You see Justin Masterson, who delivers a strike.
Justin's pitched pretty well today. He's just had that one little blip in that third inning. Gave up 4 runs, kind of lost his strike zone, command of his strike zone. Rebounded with a nice fourth inning, striking out 2, and looks like he's back on track, throwing strikes.
4 strikeouts overall for Masterson, including a walk. Peter takes upstairs, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Borges had a beautiful bunt base hit up the third base line in the third inning. Came around to score the second run. So he's 1 for 1. Fouled off to the right. This one will land in the seats.
With his speed, if that third baseman is not on the grass every at bat, I would lay it down. If I had his speed, it's amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
We saw that once, a couple weeks into his big league career last year, limited play, that all of a sudden you saw the entire infield cheating in a couple of steps. That fastball is low and it's 2-2. You've seen that at times where you see infielders, even shortstop at second base, come in a couple of steps, not necessarily guarding against a bunt per se, but just to try to give themselves an opportunity on a ground ball, routine hit ground ball.
You're playing deep, you may not throw them out.
Count remains at 2-2.
He's got some wheels. He's got some good confidence going this spring training, swing the bat. He's really been swinging it well, showing some, he's had some great at bats this year, and Soch and Mickey, they've been pretty impressed. And of course, after I say all that, he strikes out. Nice shot. But it's off Masterson, the good sinker, good two-seamer inside, but nonetheless, he's. I think he's ready to go this year. He's feeling good about his situation and feeling maybe like he belongs a little bit more and has a better feel for what to expect from Major League pitching. And it is only spring at the same time.
Sure.
So.
There's Brandon Wood for his first at-bat. Come on as a pinch runner for Meiser Sturz, who ended up going 1 for 2 in today's game and then took over at third base. Brandon hitting .222 this spring.
He's had a little bit of, his spring's been a little bit like Kazmir's. He's had some flashes of brilliance, but in between, just not the consistency that the coaching staff is really getting excited about yet. he's in a tough situation. Or at least he's making it a tough situation for the club and trying to figure out how to fill in those last few roster spots. And
2 balls, 2 strikes.
I started to say a little bit earlier too. Talking to some of these young hitters. I keep referencing them. Boy, I came up at a different era when they were, hey, go out there and play. These young guys don't have that opportunity. They got to go in there and be productive and help this team win. And it's just a different scenario, from handing a guy a job and saying, go out there and learn to go out there and be productive. If you're not, you're going to sit the bench. It's tough.
Well, he took a nice little sinker down and in. And maybe not squared it up, but got enough on it to get it through in the left field for a base hit.
Yeah, it's a rope in the books. Line drive in the books. Well, that's a good at bat for him off a guy like Masterson, as well as he's pitched. To show these guys that, he can handle, he can still hit good quality big league pitching. It's just getting his mind right every at bat.
Howie Kendrick continues his torrid pace this spring. 2 for 2 in this one with a single, a double. A couple of runs batted in. 8 RBIs now for Howie. That slider misses outside. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Came in batting .350. That only goes up to 2 knocks.
Yeah, I can't say enough about Howie. That rolls out of bed hitting. A lot like Garrett Anderson from the other side. He can just flat out hit.
You wonder if too much was made early on in his career. The prowess that he possessed down in the minor leagues as a hitter. And all the talk about, oh, this guy's got the potential to win X number of batting titles at the major league level, that perhaps that affected him a little bit. And he has been a different guy since that wake-up call he got 2 seasons ago.
Well, I think it's just, maturing a little bit and relaxing a little bit in his overall approach to the game. I think early on you come up here and you're trying to feel it out, trying to prove yourself. And then you got, coaches telling you things and I think it's just a matter of just kind of settling in and letting them play.
Brandon takes off. A little hit and run action. This one drilled out toward left center field. And Carrera tracks it down, even with the flags pointing out. Brandon's got to go all the way back to first base and is there just in time. So a long out. Well struck by Howie, but an out nonetheless. There are 2 away here in the 5th.
Yeah, Brandon's really running the bases well. His previous time when he went in pinch run for Izzy, he scored from first base on a single to right with an error, and there again he was running nicely and rounded the bag, anticipating the score, but when it was caught, he had to hustle back.
Well, just like Scott Kazmir, looks like Justin Masterson has reached his pitch limit. A nice job for him, except that 3rd inning, but he departs in a tie game here in the 5th inning. So pitching change for Cleveland. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning, tied at 4. The Angels have 2 outs and a man on at first base. We'll have more on the Angels Baseball Network. Back out here at Tempe Diablo Stadium, Victor Rojas along with Tim Salmon. Still at the bottom of the 5th inning, a 4-4 tie. Justin Masterson is done for the afternoon. And Jess Todd is the new right-hander taking his place. He comes on to face Bobby Abreu with Brandon Wood over at first base.
Bobby continued his hot hitting this spring, or I should say recently, is more than anything. But nice hit last at bat, RBI single. Had a big day yesterday. 3 hits, 2 home runs. 1 to left, 1 to right. Doesn't get any better than that.
Then you're going good.
Yeah, locked in. You're locked in. You know, he's just such the professional. Just to have all those young hitters in the lineup, watching a guy like him approach his each at bat and his days, each game, see how he works different pitchers. Those are the kind of, when they talk about having veterans around, those are the kind of veterans you're talking about. Not so much the guy that's the rah-rah in the clubhouse, but really just his approach and the way he approaches the game and how to, play the game at the professional level.
Trying to put behind him a very rough year last year.
Yeah.
Uncharacteristic year for Bobby Abreu, especially from the average standpoint.
I think things are going to be a little different with Vernon in the lineup and getting Kendrys back. Like I said, you lose one big cog in that wheel and it just changes everything. And you start losing a few games because the offense isn't producing, and it just kind of snowballs, and you wake up in July or August and you're not where you're supposed to be, and that's just the season.
2-0 is outside. 3 balls and no strikes on Abreu, who reached down the fielder's choice in the first inning and had an RBI single in the 3rd. Now I'll be perfectly honest, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so I'll go ahead and say it. Bobby has always been known as a guy that can flat out hit. Talk about a guy that rolls out of bed just hitting. So the move to DH on a quote-unquote full-time basis, you would think would be a lot easier for him than a lot of guys. There's the guys such as yourselves that have to go from an everyday player to becoming a DH, and perhaps it's a difficult transition. Bobby seems like a guy most suited for it because defensively he has struggled over the last couple of years.
Yeah, he would seem like that, but I've done it, and the thing about it is playing defense, it takes your mind off your bat for those innings that you're out there. And a guy like Bobby, who's very, he's a thinker. He's working, at bats, and he's, trying to size up, how am I going to approach him this next at bat? And, you put a guy like that, in the dugout to sit there and think about it and not have to, be thinking about playing defense, it can work against you. That was my experience as well. I mean, I was very, much a thinker as far as, the approach and, what this guy was trying to do. And replaying, the last at bat, and by putting me in the dugout, it was a struggle early on to kind of turn it off. You got to find things to distract you and turn it off.
Abreu draws the walk, so first and second here for Torrey Hunter. Torrey takes a strike from Jess Todd.
Well, I'm sure Torrey's glad to see Masterson out there. Didn't have very good swings off him. That's what a good right-handed sinker will do to even a good right-handed hitter.
Is there an approach for a right-handed batter against a guy with a heavy sinker such as that as Masterson's?
Well, Torrey did. Torrey and Vernon both did it, and that was go up there looking early in the count for that, that sinker that's up, that get me over sinker, so to speak, and and just, try to put it in play, because after that first strike, you aren't going to see that good, sinker that, stays up in the zone for you. And, sinker ballers are tough on righties. Usually it's the lefties. That's why having a good balanced lineup with some lefties in there with some pop, can eliminate some of those offensive woes going against those tough righties.
Todd falls behind here, 2 balls and a strike.
Tim Hudson was a guy that always gave me problems, but fortunately we had Garrett Anderson and, Darren Erstad and, Scott Spezio, some of these guys hitting behind me that didn't seem to have problems with him. So, it works both ways. You face those tough lefties, and we kind of give those other guys a break,
2-1 foul back, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hudson always thought watching him when he was with the Oakland Athletics be extremely difficult on right hand, just because of that drop and drive type of approach and hiding the baseball, even though you knew it was kind of coming.
Yeah, a lot like Shieldsy. It kind of jumps on you. And, you know, his sinker's tough, and it's tough to hit a sinker, but he had a split finger. And to me, that was hard to pick up. You know, when you're trying to cheat on that sinker and, you know, somehow get the barrel of the bat out on it.
This one out toward right field. Austin Kearns is there, and that will end the 5th inning. No runs, 1 hit. The Halos leave 2 men on. 5 of the books here at Tempe. We are still tied at 4 on the Angels Baseball Network. Top of the 6th inning in Tempe, Arizona, 4-4 tie. Pitching change on the mound. Christian Scholl went 2/3 of an inning to finish off that 5th inning. Now it's Jason Bolger, the big right-hander, coming on in relief, trying to earn a spot in the Angels bullpen. Spent a lot of time, missed a lot of time, I should say, 69 games last year with the Halos due to a shoulder strain. Jason this year pitching now his 7th spring training game. No record, a 3.38 ERA, 2 saves. He's thrown 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits allowed, 7 punch outs, 1 walk. Facing Shelly Duncan. First pitch in the dirt. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Jason's a guy when he is on. Sneaky with the fastball. Big curveball.
Curveball or slider?
I think it's a curveball.
Okay. Well, how
about we just split it right down the middle and call it slurve? Exactly.
Yeah, I was told he throws it early and often, and he'll throw it any time, any count. So.
He's throwing the ball well this spring as he gets Austin Kearns, or pardon me, Shelly Duncan out for the first here in the 6th inning. Brings up Matt Laporta. And it seems as if, even going into spring training with the signings, Scott Down and Hakanori Takahashi, that there was some depth going into spring training for the bullpen. Getting guys like Bolger back to 100%. Rich Thompson continuing his progress. Matt Palmer, Bobby Cazaval, Michael Kahn, and Jordan Walden. And even when you get a freak accident like that of Scott Downs, he's going to spend some time on the DL. That's all right. You still got some guys out there that can step up and do the job.
Well, that's been the secret of the Angels' success in the last, 5 to 7, 8 years. Under Sosha and Bill Stoneman before Tony is just depth at the pitching part of the game. And going back to 2002, being able to pull up some starting pitching in John Lackey and Frankie Rodriguez and Brendan Donnelly, you know, that makes a difference over the course of the season, because I've been on many teams where you didn't have that depth, and, you know, that's where you start losing those games in the dog days of the summer, and you just find yourself falling out of that race. And it all starts with pitching. Even at the Little League level. As I'm looking at my Little Leaguers here today.
That's right. You get Little League Angels, right?
Yeah, Little League Angels. You draft arms. I don't care if they can hit. I want kids that can throw.
Are you part of that draft process?
Am I? Oh, yeah.
Are you?
Oh, yeah, you're in on it.
Does that not give your team an unfair advantage that they got a former major leaguer picking the talent?
It really doesn't, because, you know, there's a lot of dads out there that know these kids on their club teams and stuff. So I just get to see them during a one-day little workout. But I, you know, more than anything, I just look to see how a kid throws. I mean, you never really see a kid with a good arm sitting on the bench at any level. And a kid with a good arm, I can put him in a lot of places. And if he's never pitched, well, I'll get him out there and teach him. But yeah, that's the winning philosophy even at the big league level. If you don't have the arms, you can have all the offense in the world, but if you don't have the arms, you're not going to probably be there at the end of the season.
Bolger with 2 quick outs here, fly ball variety, facing Chad Huffman, the left fielder. Pitch down and in. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Huffman 1 for 2, had an RBI double in the second, and a strikeout victim in the fourth. Pretty cool, though, to have your son's team be called the Angels.
Well, board membership has its privileges. I'm the commissioner of our league, so, you know, we get to decide what teams we're going to have each year, and it's been nice, you know.
So every year they're the Angels?
Well, you know, you buy your uniforms, and you buy enough for a couple years, and so usually they last a few years. But I'll be moving. Well, I'll be at this level for another year, so yeah, we'll be the Angels for a couple more years, at least 1 more.
Don't mind me. I'm just taking notes so I can follow suit with my son.
Yeah.
Who luckily drew the Angels in his first year at T-ball.
Yeah. See, yeah, in Southern Cal, I mean, everybody wants to be the Angels. In Arizona, they want to be the D-backs or the Yankees or the Red Sox. You know
what? I beg to differ. I don't think there's too many teams that want to be the D-backs here in Arizona this year.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe so. But, you know, the kids, I mean, it's their home team. And, you know, you do see the D-backs are always a popular, you know, choice of uniform for good reason. I mean, that's what you want. You know, you want the D-backs to still have a good impact on the kids in their community. But
they've got an unbelievable spring training complex.
No, it's beautiful. We were there the other day. It's gorgeous. So many of their coaches on that staff are, you know, obviously like myself, retired, and they're looking around going, why couldn't we have had this when we were playing? They were stuck down in Tucson having to make the 2-hour trip up here to play their games. And
2-out walk issued by Bolger to Huffman brings up Luis Valbuena. Is it weird now for you to see guys like Gibby and Alan Trammell all of a sudden coaching?
Yeah, well, not so much those guys, but like Matt Williams and, you know, Steve Finley was showing batting practice. I see Luis Gonzalez walking around as an executive.
That's right, he is an
type,
executive.
And, you know,
just ask him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little strange. I mean, yesterday we were out here. Randy Reddy was for the Padres on the bench, and you know, Buddy Black is over there, of course. And then, you know, looking down there and seeing Dave Roberts at first base. Yeah, it's, you know, I remember as a rookie, you know, I was under Chili Davis's wings, and, you know, I was attached at the hip with him, and everywhere we went, he, you know, somebody on that other team, or, you know, he always knew somebody on the coaching staff, and it's like, how do you know that guy? Oh, we were teammates and such and such. And I was like, man, you are old. And now that's happening to me. The game, boy, it passes quickly.
1-0. Breaking ball in the dirt. It's away far enough for Huffman to advance on the wild pitch.
You know, that's something we've seen, you know, just, you know, in my few games here. I mean, the experience, these pitchers are still trying to find their rhythm, and, you know, pitching out of the windup versus the stretch with men on base. And, you know, it's just like a hitter, you know, getting in the box and seeing the different pitches and working in different counts. These pitchers, you know, they look great out of the windup. All of a sudden they get somebody on base and they're trying to get their rhythm and their balance and their, you know, stride down. And you know, and then try to execute those pitches. I mean, spring training is spring training for a reason.
2 balls, no strikes here on Valbuena. 0 for 2 in this game. Fouls that one back. The tough thing too, I would imagine, as an outfielder, defensive player, you get 2 very quick outs, not deep counts with Dunkett and Huffman. Laporta hitting fly ball outs, and all of a sudden you give up the walk. Just that you lose that momentum.
Yeah, the game slows down on you.
Missing down low, and it's 3 balls and a strike.
You know, you have a tendency in spring training, you know, you're starting to think about that next at bat, you know, when you get to 2 outs and you're out there on defense. And, you know, those are things that, you know, gradually as the season moves along, you learn how to separate a little bit more. But in spring training, you know, you're thinking about your hands or your feet or whatever. And
well, back-to-back walks now issued as Valbuena will take first base. Mike Butcher's going to come out.
Settle him down. Trying to slow it down, stay back a little bit, rushing it a little bit. Well, it's the same thing kind of for you, getting up here in the booth,
yeah.
You know, a week before the season.
Am I rushing it a little bit? I am, aren't I? Out in front.
Turn that mic off in between innings.
Yeah, you got to stop turning the mic off on me. Oh, wait, that's me doing it.
Yeah.
It's different over here on radio versus television, because over here you get a on-off button. And on the TV side, you get a cough button. So your mic is handled by
somebody else.
Yeah. So it's essentially it's always on.
Well, I like this.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, I was
going
to say that might not be a good thing.
Here's Juan Diaz. Runners at first and second at 2 outs. Diaz, a replacement for Adam Everett, who jammed his thumb after a second inning base hit, takes a strike on the breaking ball.
You know, it's interesting how some pitchers, when they walk a guy and they go out there and, you know, throw that first pitch strike, most of them throw a fastball. Bolger throws a slider. More comfortable probably throwing that ball for a strike than he is his fastball.
This one popped up onto the outfield grass, and Eric Ibar, with his glasses gleaming, makes the catch. There's the third out. So no damage, even though Bolger gave up 2 walks after the first 2 outs. But we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, still tied at 4 here at Tempe Diablo Stadium on the Angels Baseball Network. Bottom of the 6th inning, still tied at 4. Just Todd is still out there, the right-hander. He came on for Justin Masterson in the 5th inning. He ended up walking him in, but then got the third out. That was Torrey Hunter to fly ball to end the 5th inning. And here the 6th, he'll face Wells, Ibar, and Bobby Wilson. A couple of defensive changes for Cleveland. At first base, Jordan Brown takes over for Matt Laporta. Then out in right field, it's the former Oakland Athletic Travis Buck taking over for Austin Kearns. Believe those changes to be straight up, but spring training, you never know.
Victor, this has been the hardest part for me from the 6th inning on.
All the changes?
All the changes. Yeah, I'm trying to keep a score sheet here, and it just gets so ugly. I just kind of turn it off and just do my color.
As only you could. That was with the Texas Rangers. Buck Showalter was the manager. And Buck, as Vernon gets into one into left field, but it's going to be staying in the ballpark for Huffman, even though he's drifting back on it. And there's out number 1. But Buck was notorious for not only making wholesale changes, but doing so with the just-in-case guys who weren't reported on the sheet and changing the order in which they were batting. Nothing was ever straight up.
Yeah, he was just keeping all you guys honest up here in the press box.
Yeah, but that being said, on radio games, there was a lot of times that our good friends were playing the field for the opposition. If you can't figure out the name, it was usually your buddy playing left field.
Yeah.
TV, a little bit difficult. People could see who's out there. Ibar takes that pitch down and away. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
Yeah, I was sharing with you in the break about some of the changes with my Little League team. Boy, I tell you, it can get confusing down there sometimes.
I bet.
But, it's all good training ground, if I ever wanted to see myself at the professional level doing any of this. Got to cut your teeth somewhere.
Yeah, don't be afraid to drop some more hints. Is this what you want to do?
Well, I could see myself on the field coaching somewhere, but I know that it's going to take going through the minor leagues, managing or something, and
that's the toughest part of it, the grind.
The grind.
Getting back into the grind.
Getting back in. Going back to the minor leagues, and, I got my 2 boys up here with me in the booth today, and, they're young. I want to be a part of their lives and coach their teams and, help instill some of that passion I had. I got to be around for that, so got to kind of put those other things on hold for a while.
Bobby Wilson takes upstairs. We owe you a station break. We'll get it to you here in just a moment. I get it. I mean, my dad retired in '77. Contracts back then aren't what they are today. And so, 1978, he was coaching. I mean, right with the Cubs, he kind of had to. This one's rolled up the third base line. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Angels Baseball Network. One ball, one strike here on Bobby Wilson with 2 outs in the 6th inning. 4-4 tie. And just to finish up, it's every time I talk to a player such as yourself, recently retired, and you ask them, is there any interest? That's the first thing they do is they shake their head. It's like, I don't know if I could, whether it's TV, radio, or coaching. It's the grind of 162 or 150 games, whatever the case may be. Look, I just did that for 15, 20 years. Do I want to keep doing it?
Yeah. And that is it. I mean, my passion, I'm coaching Little Leaguers, and I love coaching. I see that that's what really fills me is passing on some of that knowledge, experience, whatever. I love coaching kids. And I love coming to camp with the Angels for a week and doing it with them. And some days I can see myself doing it every day, and other days I can't.
Slow roller over to short. Diaz will retire. Bobby Wilson just has himself a 1-2-3. The Angels go down in order. 6 in the books from Tempe Diablo Stadium. We're still knotted at 4 on the Angels Baseball Network. Top of the 7th inning in Tempe. We are tied at 4. Glad you joined us here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. The Angels Baseball Network, as well as Diablo Vision on Fox Sports West. Jason Bolger back out for another inning of work, and he'll be facing 9-1-2. And a boatload of defensive changes for the Angels. Here's Tim Salmon to take you through them all.
I don't think so.
I'm just kidding. New left fielder is Chris Pettit taking over for Vernon Wells. Peter Borges still in center. Andrew Hyde is the new right fielder. Got a couple of guys wearing the same number, 79. Hyde is wearing 79 out in right. The new shortstop, Gene Segura, also wearing number 79. And Alexi Amarista is the new second baseman. I figured you were talking about it, so I just...
I saw
busy. You writing down.
Oh,
wait a second,
feverishly.
you took the headsets off, you rolled up the sleeves, and you started writing everything down.
I was listening to Eric Hay on the announcer or whatever here, just trying to fill it in. But yeah, I'm trying to pace with you guys here. But boy, oh boy, my pencil's running out of lead. But Gene Segura is playing shortstop for the Angels right now. He's. I have not had a chance to see him take any at bats in the games yet, but I got a chance to really watch him that week. I was coaching down in the lower fields, and he's somebody that they have great interest in. He had a great year last year, great hitter, great defensive shortstop. Looks to be in the plans someday in Anaheim here now in a couple years.
Here's Carlos Santana, leadoff man, and the catcher. His 4th plate appearance. Bolger giving up a leadoff walk to Carrera. 3 walks now issued by Jason Bolger, just over an inning. Santana's popped out, walked and scored, and reached down to fielder's choice.
Starting him off with a slider.
Carrera takes off. The pitch is a strike. The throw down from Conger is not in time. Carrera had a pretty good jump over at first base.
Yeah, not much Conger could do on that. When he got it and got rid of it quick, it's just too good of a jump. A lot of times most of the time you steal it off a pitcher, and that was the case there.
One ball, one strike here on Carlos Santana with man in scoring position. This one broke. Roller down to first base side partner.
Well, this is, a good situation for Bolger to be in. Tie ball game. It's an opportunity to, with all that competition in the bullpen, where are you going to fit in? What kind of role can you come into and show the staff, that you're capable of getting those tough outs in this part of the game. And Bolger didn't get off to a good start walking that first guy on a stolen base. So, let's see if you can battle your way out of this situation here.
2 balls, 2 strikes now.
He gets himself out of this inning without scoring a run. I would have to say that would really say a lot for Soch and Butch as far as where he's at this point in the spring.
Another roller foul up the first base line, so the count remains at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cleveland with 2 runs in the second, 2 in the third. The Angels with 4 in the bottom of the 3rd inning. That's been all the scoring. Early, happen often. They did with 4 runs, 3 hits, 1 error. They've left 4 men on base. The Angels 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, and they've left 3 on base. Got him swinging. Good fastball from Jason Bolger. Down goes Santana. There's out number 1.
Yeah, he was threw him a few sliders, got him thinking down and in. Wait another one, and threw a fastball by him. Nice pitch. He's got a good down angle on his fastball.
Cord Phelps will pinch hit here for Jason Nix. Switch hitter. Former third-round pick in 2008 by Cleveland. In from the left side against the right-hander Bolger. Off-speed pitch catches the outside corner. There's strike one.
You know, it seemed to me like earlier in my career when I was coming up, a lot more of the pitchers were kind of like Bolger, where they did not want to give you fastballs and fastball counts. They kind of pitched a lot more backwards. But those pitchers didn't have the kind of fastball he has either.
Yeah.
It's a different day. I mean, guys are throwing harder now. I think Bolger could find himself, you know, having success because there are a lot more harder throwers and, you know, guys that are coming at you with the fastball more, and, you know, he can come in there throwing more sliders and, you know, be a little bit of a, you know, tweak to what you're used to seeing.
Well, it gets Phelps to roll over that pitch for the second out. Herrera ends up over at third base, 2 away, and here comes Travis Buck for his first at-bat. Placing Austin Courage in right field. Buck hitting .385 this spring. 1 home run and 5 runs batted in. The guy, when he was with the Oakland Athletics, just could not seem to stay healthy. They liked him quite a bit. Always nagging little injuries.
Yeah, staying healthy. I mean, that's a big part of sticking in this game.
Bolger ahead at no balls, 2 strikes.
Well, he's 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning. It didn't look so good starting out, and he's built his neck a little bit here and bearing down, and 1 pitch away, 1 strike away from getting out of this.
Oh, that got Buck. That means Carrera, who was coming home from third, will head back to third base or hit by a pitch.
Yeah, a little bit of a break. I thought it was a wild pitch, actually, at first. Glad it hit him. That wouldn't have fared well for Bolger or Conger to have a wild pitch to let the go-ahead run in.
It's a valiant effort on Travis Buck's part to get out of the way of that pitch.
Yeah, 2 strikes, I think you
cement shoes.
Yeah, do what you got to do to get on base. Keep the inning extended.
Well, here's Shelley Duncan, DH. Still 2 outs, runners at the corners now. Duncan 0 for 3.
You know, it's funny, I find myself saying so many things to my young little leaguers. Some of the things Joe Madden would say. Extend the inning up at the plate. Do what you got to do, you know. Walk, hit, error, whatever. Good hitters get jammed. It's funny, all the things you hear as a player, and I find it's kind of like repeating the things your dad used to say. You know, it's like, I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah. JoJo was one of my favorites down in the minor leagues. Jeter Hines, Frank Rehberger, Mike Touche.
Frank Rehberger. Mike Touche.
This one hit well and deep to left center field. Borges is pulling up, and that's a 3-run home run. Well, 7-4 Cleveland here on a 2-out home run by Shelley Duncan.
Well, he's 1 strike away from getting out of that, and turns into a 3-run homer.
Especially after the leadoff walk.
Yeah.
Leadoff walk got Santana and Phelps. 0-2 count on Buck. Shelley Duncan's first home run of the spring, giving him now 8 runs batted in.
Yeah, he hit that ball really nicely too. Left center field, that was not a cheapie.
Jordan Brown at his first plate appearance came on as a defensive replacement in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Well, Bolger just needs to take a deep breath right here and just gather himself. He's 2-0. You know, get yourself out of this inning.
Brown hitting .250 this spring, rolls this one, and a diving stop by Bobby Wilson to his right feet. Bolger there is out number 3. What happens when you're 33 pounds lighter? You can go get it to your right.
Oh, what a tremendous play.
But unfortunately, Bolger gives up that 3-run home run to Shelley Duncan. 7th inning stretch time at Tempe Diablo Stadium. Cleveland leading the Angels 7-4 here on the Angels Baseball Network. Bottom of the 7th inning, 7-4 Cleveland. Hank Conger to lead things off here. It'll be Conger, Borges, and then Brandon Wood, the scheduled 3. Jensen Lewis, the new right-hander, on for Cleveland, taking over for Jess Todd, who ended up going and hitting in a 3rd. Did a nice job after just walking Bobby Abreu when he came into the game in the 5th, but then retired the last 4 that he faced. Hank takes a strike on the outside corner. 2 balls and 1 strike. Conger with a walk and a run scored in the 3rd. And a ground out in the 4th. Jensen Lewis pitching now in his 6th game. 1-0 record, 10.80 ERA. He's given up 11 hits in his 5 innings of work. 1 strikeout, 1 walk.
Well, it'd be a good guy to get something going and off, and after giving up 3 that last inning.
This one back up the middle, off the end of the bat. Lewis has got it, flips over to first. And there's out number 1. We'll bring up Peter Borges. Jensen Lewis last year with Cleveland, 4-2 and a 2.97 ERA, pitching in 37 games. He's a guy that you could qualify as a funky motion guy. Just a lot of moving parts, trying to hide the baseball.
Yeah, a little herky-jerky. A lot of action with the leg. Ball suddenly appears behind the shoulder somewhere. Corners are playing in. Left over there at third base. I think they've seen Borges lay one down earlier today. Somebody's paying attention.
Yeah, Peter 1 for 2 with that bunt base hit up the third base line in the 3rd inning. Scored one of the 4 runs the Angels put on the board in the 3rd, and struck out in the 5th inning. Justin Masterson got the start for Cleveland. Scott Kazmir for the Angels. This one out toward left field, and chasing Huffman back, still going back, and reaches up at the last moment, makes the catch.
That was a very nice catch right there. A little off balance, tracking the ball, hitting that track. Especially here in spring training, you're not as familiar with you know, the cuts on the warning tracks, some of the different ballparks. You don't get a chance to play at them very often, and he's playing in a little bit shallow there off Borges and had to cover some ground. Made a nice catch, kept his eye on the ball. Didn't have too much sun. This time of the game, the sun's kind of moved over, and it's really affecting the right fielder more than the left fielder.
You know, for pitchers, we've talked about sneaky gas. For Peter Borges, he's got sneaky pop in that bat.
He really does. Yeah, that ball carried a little bit more than I expected. Put a nice swing on it. But with Borges, I mean, the key is going to be with him, you know, line drives, ground balls. You know, those fly balls are easy outs for the most part. An occasional, home run is going to be good, but you know, as long as he continues to put that ball on the ground, he's going to have a great opportunity to beat something out.
Brandon Wood ahead of the count at 2 balls and no strikes. Brandon 1 for 1 with a base hit in the 5th inning. Took over for Meiser as Sturris. Meiser ended up going 1 for 2, getting the start in the leadoff spot and at third base.
Brandon saw a 2-0 changeup there with the 3-run lead.
Everybody's got to get work in, Tim.
Yeah, they do. Got to work on those 2-0 changeups, I guess.
4-pitch walk as Brandon's on board. That'll bring up Chris Pettit for the first time.
Yeah, I don't know. Even if Torrey's hitting there, you got a 3-run lead, 2 quick outs, you got 2-0 count. I think you got to take a chance with that fastball. See if he can get himself out. You end up walking a guy after the offense just went out there and got you 3-0. 3 runs on the board.
Pettit takes a strike. Alberto Callaspo's come out to the on-deck circle. He would be pinch hitting in Bobby Abreu's spot. If there are 2 outs here in the 7th inning. 7-4 Cleveland. Shelley Duncan with a 3-run home run in the top of the 7th off Jason Bolger to put Cleveland back on top. That pitch down to the dirt. Brandon Wood takes off. The throw's on the shortstop side of the bag, and that allows Wood to get in there.
Well, I tell you what, Woody still, I mean, in spite of maybe some of his struggles at the plate, he gets on base, he gets out there in the field, he still plays the game like it should be played. And, you know, he got a good hop on that. He read the ball in the dirt, and, you know, hey, take the base. You know, it's you still keep playing the game. Those are the things Scioscia's looking for. You know, just because maybe your things aren't going so well for you, or you're down, in the game, don't just fall asleep out there. Keep playing the game. And Woody's still showing some signs that, you know, he can be an impact player here. Let's get his swing going.
2 balls and a strike as Pettit takes that one in the dirt. Nice job, though. You know, he didn't get the runner. Carlos Santana digging that ball out of the dirt. It would have been interesting had that throw been on the bag. How close it would have been.
It might have been close.
And a difficult play that it was.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. He made a great play. And even if he'd have thrown him out, Scioscia isn't going to have a problem with that.
No.
You know, you be aggressive on the bases, take advantage of balls in the dirt.
Pettit delivers out toward right center field. That's going to bring Brandon Wood home. And it's a 7-5 Cleveland lead. Chris Pettit going the opposite way. Nice job of 2-out hitting.
Well, it's those little things in the game that, you know, we just manufactured a 2-out run right there with some aggressive base running. And those are the things that's Scioscia's style of play right there. Be aggressive on the bases. Woody's done a great job. I mean, the last couple of games I've seen, you know, he's run the bases really well. Like I said earlier, he scored on a single where the outfielder just felt it was, you know, lost his footing and fell, and Woody's running hard and picked up Dino and scored. That's two times out there today that he's had some good base running and taken advantage of some opportunity and scored, you know, 2 runs for us.
Alberto Callaspo steps in for Bobby Abreu. DH spot. He takes outside for ball 1.
Good piece.
Sorry about that. All right.
I was going to say good piece of hitting by Chris Pettit as well. Good 2-out hitting.
Abreu ends the day going 1 for 2 with an RBI single and a walk. Callaspo hitting .286 this spring. 10 hits and 35 ABs, a couple of RBIs. Pettit, by the way, picking up his 5th RBI this spring with that 2-out knock that scored Brandon Wood. And Lewis, who started off this inning very quickly, getting Conger and then Borges. Issued that walk to Brandon Wood, the wild pitch. Base hit to Pettit, now falls behind on Callaspo, but 3 balls, no strikes. Gene Segura on deck. There's a strike, 3-1.
3-1 here. Should get a good pitch to swing at. Zone down on it. It's not there. Let it go.
Loops this one out towards shallow right center field. Long run in for Travis Buck. Can't make the diving catch, and it gets by both Buck and Carrera. Pettit comes around to score. Alberto Callaspo motoring into third. He is in there with a stand-up triple. It's a 1-run deficit, 7-6 Cleveland.
Little looper out there to right center field. Buck giving a chase on it. Center fielder there didn't catch, which he should have been backing up a little bit more. He crossed right in front of Buck. I don't know if there's a communication problem out there, but typically, you know, as a right fielder, I'm screaming. If I'm going to dive for it, I'm letting that guy know way in advance I'm diving.
So 2 runs in the inning, both coming with 2 outs. Callaspo representing the tying run is over at third base, and here's Gene Segura. Took over at shortstop. Last inning for Eric Ibar.
Nice little 2-out rally. Scored 2 runs. See what a walk can do for you? Walk and some aggressive base running.
Well, it caught the inside corner. It looked like perhaps a little bit inside, but it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Segura had a terrific year last year at Cedar Rapids, hitting .313. 10 home runs, 79 runs batted in.
He kind of spreads out, kind of does a no stride. Or very little stride. Nice short swing.
He swiped 50 bags last year.
And that's going to get Socha's attention. It's going to get anybody's attention, really. looking for that next generation of base stealer up here.
Third-rated prospect in the Angels organization, according to Baseball Americas. He takes upstairs, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kind of just looking at him body type, a squattier version of Melvin Mora.
Yeah.
Takes outside, it's a full count.
Well, from what I saw of him swinging down there and down the lower fields earlier in camp, you know, he seems like he's a very confident hitter, kind of in control of what he's trying to do at the plate. Doesn't have a whole lot of movement, which has lended probably a lot of the success he's had.
Payoff pitch is inside. He walked him. So 2 walks in the inning for Jensen Lewis. And Manny Acta perhaps has seen enough. That coupled with the fact that Jensen Lewis probably has hit his pitch total for this afternoon. It started off very good for him in the 7th inning, but the walk to Brandon Wood, the hit by Pettit, the triple by Callaspo, now a walk to Segura, and Jensen Lewis's afternoon has come to an end. Doug Mathis, the right-hander, is coming on in relief for Cleveland. We're still in the bottom of the 7th. Angels trail at 7-6 here on the Angels Baseball Network. Back out here at Tempe Diablo Stadium, it is 7-6 Cleveland. The Angels scored 2 runs with 2 outs here in the 7th inning off Jensen Lewis. He has since departed, and it's the right-hander Doug Mathis on in relief. Runners at first and third for the Angels. And Alexi Amarista getting his first AB or plate appearance of the afternoon facing Doug Mathis. Doug has some big league time, mostly with the Texas Rangers. Doug pulling the old third to first move. How many times did you get picked off with the third to first move, Tim?
I don't recall I ever did.
Not too often that move works.
Well, it really only works for that guy at first if he's looking to, he's a base stealer.
Sure.
I think, a guy like myself. I mean, I was going when Dino put the sign on. I wish I could. I felt like I should have stole more bags, but I was never really given the green light. I was usually running when they told me.
Here's the 1-0. Amarista takes a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Alexi hitting .214 this spring in 8 games. 3 for 14 overall. A couple of RBIs. Even when you established veteran presence, tenure.
Yeah,
just listen to the coach.
Yeah, I did. My legs, I always had hurt feet or hurt knees or something, and it just, I don't know, it just seemed to put more stress on it. And the other thing, too, is that Garrett Anderson usually hitting behind me. I think he always appreciated me holding that first baseman there. Half the time I was scared to death of his swing that he was going to kill me.
I was just going to say that's more incentive for you to be taking off.
Well, probably.
This one chopped on the right side. That's into right field. A base hit. This game is tied up at 7 as Segura heads over to third base. An RBI single by Alexi Amarista.
Well, nice hitting right there. Very nice hitting. With the run. You send the runner, the first baseman plays back, and maybe it's an out. But holding him there kept it, gave him a big part of the field to hit to.
Keeps the inning alive for Andrew Hyde. Took over in right field. Sinker misses down and away to Hyde. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, and all this was started from a 2-out walk by Brandon Wood.
Hyde takes a strike, evens the count at 1-1. Andrew spells his last name H-E-I-D, 9th round pick last year from Gonzaga. With .362 at Orem. 9 home runs and 34 runs batted in. Ooh, I got him. It clips Hyde. Now will load the bases. So the Halos have batted around here in the 7th inning and have done so with 2 outs primarily.
And we got our hottest hitter in camp coming to the plate. Bobby Wilson. Bobby's had a terrific game on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, to hear Soch talk about working him in at first and getting him some reps and some looks, and he's had about every look he could have at first base today, finishing that last inning with a great diving play in the hole.
And a year ago we were talking about what do the Angels do with Bobby Wilson? Will the Angels carry 3 catchers? Mike Napoli, Jeff Mathis, being out of options. Did a nice job last year in that backup role, and certainly has proven that he belongs in the big leagues.
Yeah. Well, I think being able to show that he can fill in and play first base for a day or something, definitely helps his cause. And like you say, getting more at bats and answering that question, what do you do?
He takes down low. He's ahead of the count at 2 balls and no strikes. Bobby 0 for 3 in today's game. A couple of strikeouts and a ground out.
Been focusing more on defense, I guess.
Today, just today.
Just today.
Segura at third, Amarista at second, and Hyde at first. Speed on the bases. Bobby lifts a fly ball to shallow right. Travis Buck comes charging in. That will end the inning. But the Angels tie things up They get 3 runs. They do it on 3 hits, all coming with 2 outs here in the 7th. 7 of the books. We're tied at 7. Terry Smith will be back in the 8th and bring you on home on the Angels Baseball Network.
Angel fans, don't forget the ultimate fan experience is back on Sunday, March the 27th. The Angels will host Fan Fest at the Big A. All fans in attendance will have the chance to meet the 2011 Angels, take a photo with the Rally Monkey, listen to live music, and conclude the day watching the Angels take on the Padres with game time at 2:05. For more info or to purchase your tickets, visit angels.com today. Terry Smith, Tim Salmon, our producer-engineer Darren Chan, Victor Rojas taking care of the last 4 innings. We'll try to take you home in a 7-7 ball game as we go to inning number 8. Angels have made a few changes here to start this inning off. We'll get to those after the pitch, and it comes from Michael Kahn, and that one is a little bit low and away for ball 1 on Chad Huffman to count 1 ball, no strikes. The new center fielder is Clay Fuller, and the Angels also have Efren Navarro playing first base. It's a pitch that's low and outside. 2 balls and no strikes. The Angels have had 2 big innings today, a 4-run 3rd and a 3-run 7th to tie it. The Angels have out-hit Cleveland 9-4, but the Indians have 7 runs on only 4 hits today. There's a pitch that's on the outside corner for a strike. 2 balls, 1 strike to count. We'll give you Bolger's numbers in just a moment. He will not figure in the decision today. The pitch that's fouled off by Huffman on the right side, backing out of play. Bulger went 2 innings. He allowed only 1 hit, and that hit was the 3-run homer he gave up to Shelley Duncan. He walked 3, struck out 1, also hit a batter, and allowed 3 runs in those 2 innings of work. Kahn is set. Here's the next pitch, and that one misses a little bit low. So the count runs full, 3-2. Defensively around the infield, Navarro's playing first base. Amarista is playing second. Segura is the shortstop, and Brandon Wood still at third. The payoff pitch, it just misses. That was a pretty close pitch right there.
Might have been a little down. Looked like it had covered the plate.
Ted Barrett today, whether or not he's had a small strike zone or not, he's been consistent. That pitch is.
Yeah. Oh, it was down.
It was low.
Yeah, it was low.
So leadoff walk Angels pitchers have surrendered 8 of the walks today, which certainly has to get under the skin of Mike Scioscia a little bit.
Yeah, and Mike Butcher as well. I mean, it's very uncharacteristic, and especially the way the walks have really come back to haunt us today.
Right.
Many of them scored.
There's Valbuena at the plate, and he takes that pitch for a strike. There have been 4 batters who have walked and scored today for the Indians. Another batter reached hit by a pitch. He scored as well. Here's the 1-strike delivery, and that one is outside. 1-1 the count. Wood at third base is playing in. Middle part of the infield at double play depth. Toss over to first base. Back to the bag goes Huffman, who's been on base 3 times today. He's walked a couple of times. He's also doubled in a run and scored a run. We've yet to get the attendance today, but we do have a big crowd here. Many are still around to see the conclusion. There goes the runner. Pitch is popped up foul just above us and out of play behind the plate. That ball is just stuck on the canopy below us here.
Yeah.
And the fans can kind of see through that, the fans that are underneath us, and they're wondering why that ball, and they're poking at it here, trying to make it. That's why you're hearing that commotion in the background. The pitch, that's low. It skips away from
Conger.
Conger. He can't find the ball, and moving up to second and thinking about maybe going to third, but jamming on the brakes is Huffman on that wild pitch.
Yeah, a little off-speed pitch in the dirt. Hank got down there in good position to make the block. It just snuck underneath his glove.
Two and two is the count on Valbuena. Michael Kahn has had a good spring for the Angels, in a little bit of trouble here with no outs. Potential go-ahead runner at second, and there's a ground ball sharply hit right to Navarro. He'll solo to the bag, the first baseman. On the play, Huffman moves over to third on the ground out. And the next batter will be Juan Diaz, who's been playing short most of the day for them.
Efrain Navarro, known for a pretty good glove down there. At least that's the word coming out of the minor leagues, and he showed it right there. That ball took a little funny hop on him. Kind of looked like it started to handcuff him a little bit. He had it the whole time, though. Didn't even flinch.
So the Angels will bring the infield in, trying to cut down the go-ahead run at third base. Here's the pitch. That's high and away. Conger was blocking a snap throw to third. And here the wind picking up a little bit in the background. Kahn is appearing in his 8th game, and he is not allowed a run so far this spring. He's worked 7 innings, giving up 8 hits, no runs. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts coming in. But he did lead the inning off walking a batter. Here's a ground ball base hit right over the bag at first, and down the right side it goes. It'll give the Indians the lead going into second base, and stopping there as the ball got tied up down in that right field corner for a ground rule double is Diaz, and Cleveland leads it 8-7.
Great pitch. He got in on his hands, broke his bat even. I would like to see that play again. It did not look fair from here, but we don't really have any good camera angles to take a look at it. But from up here, it looked foul to me. But all those white lines down there.
Yep.
I guess that umpire down there has a better look than me.
So it'll go down as a ground rule double, and here's Carrera, the center fielder, Ezekiel Carrera, taking ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. So another batter who walked has scored.
Yeah,
been uncanny today.
Yeah,
almost automatic. Here's the 1-0 pitch, fouled back to the screen.
You know, those walks they hurt you because it takes away your margin for error. I mean, going back to, Bolger, that walk that kind of got things going for him, and there again, it just puts that stress and that pressure on that pitcher out there. That now you got somebody out there that one little blue pit like that last one there, broken bat.
Yep.
Single, they come around, and That's why it's spring training. You know, these guys need to get out there and work on some stuff and find their rhythms with men on base or in scoring position, and have an opportunity to work out of that. You don't want that first opportunity to come under the bright lights here in a few weeks, and it's even tougher there to work out of it.
Sure. It's a pitch on the outside corner for strike 2 and 2. The Indians with 8 runs on 5 hits, but they have also had 8 walks in the game, and they have made the most of those 8 walks. The pitch fouled off on the left side, backing out of play. Outfielders for the Angels. Clay Fuller is in the center field this inning. Pettit is the left fielder, and Andrew Hyde, who came up from minor league camp, he's the right fielder. Con set. Here's the 2-2 low, and it's a full count. So again, another 3-ball count on a Cleveland hitter, and that's been happening pretty much all day. Scott Kazmir started this game for the Angels. He walked 4, and 3 of the 4 he walked scored. He gave up 4 runs earned in 4 1/3 innings today. 3-2 payoff pitch. Fouled off on the left side, backing out of play. Santana waits on deck, their catcher. They were leading him off today so he could get as many at bats as possible. He will certainly not be their leadoff man during the regular season. 3-2 payoff pitch, again fouled off the screen behind home.
Well, it's just a lot like hitting too. You know, nobody likes hitting 0-2 or behind in the count, but you know, you got to have a number of those at bats here in spring just to kind of work on that approach. And it's the same thing on the pitching side of it. You know, hey, you're not always going to have your best stuff where you can throw it out there and throw strikes at will, and you know, you got to get in some of those situations and kind of get the juices flowing and figure out how to fight out of it. And you know, you don't just roll out of bed in mid-season form. You got to work into it, and it happens here in spring.
Which was fouled back again, this time on the third base side. So a pretty good battle going on between these two, Michael Kahn and the hitter Ezequiel Carrera. Carrera last year played at all 3 stops in the minors, A, AA, and AAA in the Indians organization. He hit .281. The pitch, he slaps that one on the right side of the infield, stopped by Amarista, the second baseman. He'll throw to get him at first base, and on the play Diaz goes to third, so he's there with 2 outs. 4-3 on the ground out. Here's Carlos Santana getting ready to bat. Angel fans celebrate 50 years of Angels baseball during the 2011 season with the Flex Plan. You can select the 20 games you want to see from over 70 Angels home games and receive tickets to the home opener free of charge. The Flex Plan allows also a chance to purchase postseason tickets, the chance to double your option with the purchase of 2 or more plans. Buy your Flex Plan today at angels.com/mini-plans or call 888-796-HALO. Santana, the hitter, batting from the left side, takes ball 1. It's 1-0. Kahn's next delivery fouled back to the screen, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike.
Looks like Carlos is going to go the distance to get his at bats today, working on his 5th at bat. Tough on those catchers to get their 5th at bat. That's a lot of work back there.
Sure is. This is going to be a long ball game when it finally wraps up. The pitch, he checked on that one. They say he was holding.
Nice pitch.
So the count, 2 balls and a strike.
Hey, he checked. He held it.
Kahn is set. Here's his next pitch. Swing and a miss. He fooled him right there. So the count level, it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think he fooled him with a fastball. Threw it right by him.
Yeah. Santana, the catcher, was originally in the Dodgers organization, and he came over to the Indians in a deal for Casey Blake. Murray checks on that one, and it misses high, so it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Santana's had injury problems the past couple of years. Knee surgery last year, hand surgery following the 2009 season. The pitch, he lifts it in the air and is straightaway center field. Fuller is playing there, backpedaling, waiting under. He'll squeeze it, and that'll end the inning. But the Indians do regain the lead, getting a run here in the top of the 8th. They did it with only 1 hit, also a walk in the inning, no errors, and they leave a runner at 3rd. We're going to the bottom of the 8th here in Tempe. 8-7 Cleveland on the Angels Baseball Network. Here we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. A new catcher for the Cleveland Indians as Santana leaves. He got that final at bat, and then they took him out. Luke Carlin is the new Cleveland catcher. The Angels catcher today, Hank Conger, is the batter, and the first pitch was in there from Mathis for a strike. 0-1. He pops it in the air on the left side over by the Cleveland dugout. It's playable and foul ground for the third baseman, Valbuena, and he puts it away for out number 1. One quick out. We'll update you on some scores around the Grapefruit and Cactus League. Efren Navarro is the batter. This is his first at bat today. He's hitting out of Borges's number 9 spot. Peter was 1 for 3 today with a run scored. Navarro's been getting a little bit of playing time lately for the Angels. We saw him play in the game in Scottsdale a couple nights ago. Here's a lazy fly ball lifted into left field. Circling under is Huffman. And a couple of pitches have retired the last 2 batters. 2 quick outs in the Angels' bottom of the 8th. Brandon Wood will be the batter. Wood today, since coming in, has a single and a walk. He's also scored a run. In Florida today in the Grapefruit League, the Tigers beat a Braves split squad 2-1. Pirates over the Red Sox 7-5. Josh Beckett was hit hard in that game. He gave up 5 runs, but only 1 earned in 4 2/3 innings, but he was the loser. He's 0-3 this spring. St. Louis split squad lost to the Marlins 5-4. The Mets and Braves had split squad games against each other, and that ended in a 3-3 tie that went 10 innings. Phillies beat Baltimore 7-5. John Mabry hitting his 5th home run for Philadelphia. Shane Victorino is 2nd for the Phillies. Astros beat a Cardinals split squad 3-2. Twins over Tampa Bay 9-2. The pitch. Wood takes that one low. Casey Kochman hit a home run for Tampa Bay in that loss to Minnesota today. Kochman's first home run of the spring for the Rays. He's trying to make their club after signing a minor league contract in the offseason with them. Delman Young had a home run for Minnesota in that game. The 1-2 on Wood. He pops it foul on the right side, backing out of play. Yankees and Toronto played to a 5-5 tie that went 10 innings. Robinson Cano with a home run for New York, his first this spring, and the Mets other split squad beat Washington today 7-4. In this one, it's 8-7 Cleveland, bottom of the 8th. 2 outs, no one on. The pitch on Wood on that 1-2, it just missed. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Doug Mathis is in his first full inning of relief. He got the final out last inning. The 2-2. Wood with a liner into left center field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. So Brandon Wood's having a nice day. He's been up 3 times with 2 hits and a walk. And he just seems to be hitting a lot better here the last week or so, Tim.
Yeah, he has. You know, he's, from what I've seen, he's having good at bats. I mean, you know, considering he's hitting behind in the count so much. Once again today, that last at bat, he was 0-2. You know, the guy's dropping sliders on him and early in the count, and you know, and I think the key for him is how is he fighting through those at bats? He might not get a hit, but is he battling? Is he fouling off tough pitches? Is he doing what he needs to do to get to the next pitch? And I think he's showing some of that right now, and I don't know where it's all going to, you know, filter out through the big scheme of things, but from his own standpoint, all he has to do is worry about what he can control at this point, and that's that next at bat and that next pitch, and just leave it at that.
At the plate is Chris Pettit. He takes that one low. Just looking back the last few games for Brandon Wood, mentioned 2 for 2 today with a walk. In yesterday's game against the Padres, he was 2 for 4 with a home run and a double. Game before that, he was 0 for 2 with a walk. A game against the Diamondbacks a few days ago at that new facility, Salt River Fields, where we'll actually be tomorrow. Wood in that game, and 2 at bats, went 1 for 2 with an RBI triple. So he's been getting on base quite a bit and certainly getting some hits lately.
Yeah, you know, the key for me though is, are you getting deep in the count? Are you able to, you know, battle and work that at bat? And you know, he's had some walks, and you know, walks are the thing that kind of they help you keep your head above water a little bit. You know, if you can keep battling, and you know, even if you make an out, but you make the guy throw 5, 6, 7 pitches, you know, it helps everybody else in the lineup, and it puts stress on that pitcher, and that's just making it a tough. You're making yourself be a tough out.
Right.
And those are the things that you know, I think when you're evaluating a guy, you know, is he struggling, and is it just an easy out, or hey, he's struggling, but you know, it's a tough out, and you know, he'll get the occasional walk. Those are the things that keep yourself in the lineup and give yourself the best chance of, you know, getting that opportunity to fight your way through it.
Chris Pettit on a 3-1 pitch was taking, and he draws ball 4, so he's on. And now we'll see what the Indians are going to do. They're going to have a little meeting at the mound, and whether or not they might make a pitching change, we'll wait to see. And sure enough, they will. So a pitching change coming up here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 2 outs, 2 on. The Angels trailing at 8-7. We'll be back with more Angels baseball in a moment here on the Angels Baseball Network. The new pitcher for Cleveland is Frank Herman. He's a right-hander. Before we tell you about him and get the inning back underway, let's pause for station identification on the Angels Baseball Network. Frank Herman, a right-hander, set to work. Alberto Callaspo is the batter. 2 outs here in the 8th, 2 on the pitch. He takes the first one a little bit low. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Herman is kind of an interesting story because he was not drafted coming out of college, and he is an Ivy Leaguer. He went to Harvard. He has an economics degree. He also played football at Harvard in the Ivy League. He was a reserve quarterback besides playing on their baseball team. And he's a guy with a good power sinker. He'll throw a curveball. He was in 40 games for Cleveland last year in relief. Misses a little bit high with that one, and it's now 2 balls and no strikes. Callaspo, since coming into the ball game, he's tripled in a run and scored a run. Here's the 2-0 pitch. He lifts it in the air into right center field. It should be the end of the inning. Waiting and under his buck. He'll put it away, and Herman gets the final out. The Angels are retired here in the 8th. A threat but no runs in the inning. 1 hit, 1 walk, no errors, and 2 runners left. We're headed to the 9th inning in Tempe. It's 8-7 Cleveland on the Angels Baseball Network. As we move to the 9th inning, Cleveland leads it 8-7. A new battery for the Angels. The new pitcher is David Carpenter, and the new catcher is Cole Armstrong. They're each up from minor league camp today, so we'll see how this battery fares for the Angels. The numbers on Michael Kahn: he went an inning, he allowed a run, he gave up a hit, he also walked the batter, and he threw a wild pitch. So he's the pitcher of record. The run the Indians got in the 8th inning, the go-ahead run in the ball game. They lead it 8-7 as we get the 9th underway. Carpenter is a right-hander, and as far as David Carpenter is concerned, his background, he's from Texas. He was born in Arlington, Texas. He lives in Grand Prairie, Texas. Selected by the Angels in the 2009 June draft in the 9th round. He's ready. Here's his first pitch, and that one is a little bit high and away on Cord Phelps, who is batting here for the Indians. This is his first at bat today. He's hitting out a Jason Nick's spot, the number 2 spot. Phelps batting from the left side. Carpenter's next pitch, and that one is a little bit low.
Carpenter's got a little bit of a funky delivery.
Yeah, he slings it a little bit.
Slings it, yeah.
Right-hander.
Good movement.
He pitched at Cedar Rapids last year, was a reliever. He closed some games. There's a swing and a miss by Phelps. 2 balls and 1 strike. Carpenter had 52 strikeouts in 45 and a third innings last year in the minors. He's 6'3", 180 pounds, and he is 23 years old. The 2-1 delivery, chopped on the right side and through. That's going to be a leadoff hit. So Phelps is on with a single, his first time up today. Travis Buck is going to be the next batter. Buck so far today has been up once, and he was hit by a pitch. His only time up. Left-handed batter. He had been with the Oakland A's in recent years. Pitch on its way. That one is tipped foul right by the plate. Buck, the last few seasons, really sidelined with a lot of injuries, and one of the reasons why the A's just decided to part ways with him. One time looked like he might be a corner outfielder for them on a everyday basis, but it just didn't pan out. The pitch, that one misses low. He was Oakland's second round pick in 2005. Elbow surgery, the one injury which really has sidelined him. He played in only 14 games for Oakland last year and hit just 167. He was in the minors most of last year.
Well, that window, it only stays open for a little while. It closes for everybody.
Yeah. There's a pitch from Carpenter. It's high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike on Travis Buck. A couple of other baseball notes today. Giants closer Brian Wilson is sidelined with a strained rib cage muscle. An injury that could have him on the disabled list when the season begins. The pitch, that's
a big
blowing
loss. Yeah, that's those rib cage injuries are, oof. Those are tough ones to come back completely healthy from. I mean, you really almost got to have a medical staff and a coaching staff that just says, you know what, you're down for, more than just, every player's going to say, oh, I feel better, let me get back out there. But, every player knows in the back of their mind, they can feel every little twinge, and especially a pitcher like him.
Right.
He's going to feel the pressure of not being out there. It's his, it's like Percy, they want to be out there every game, and he's going to watch other guys in there in his role that maybe aren't going to have the same kind of success, and that's going to all of a sudden make you start thinking you're feeling better. But that rib cage injury could really be something that haunts him all year.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Buck. A toss to first base, and just diving back safely goes that base runner Phelps.
Quick feet there.
Yeah. That injury to the Giants closer Brian Wilson, apparently it happened pitching against the Angels Thursday night in Scottsdale. That's the report. Had an MRI today. He's going to be re-examined on Monday. There goes the runner, and there's a high fly ball that's hit well into right field. Hyde is going back, still back, and that one is gone. A 2-run shot down the right field line. That home run by Travis Buck increases the Cleveland lead. It's now 10-7 Indians. So their second home run of the day, and they've gotten them late in this ball game. The 3-run shot by Duncan in the 7th. Now a 2-run shot here by Buck in the 9th.
That was pretty much a no-doubter. Watching Buck's mannerisms as he came out of the box, I think he knew he had it. That's got to make him feel good, trying to make a club. And
right. Here's Duncan at the plate, and he pops one in the air on the right side. Running out of room is Navarro, the first baseman. That's backing out of play. Travis Buck, who hit that home run, his second one this spring, and he came into the ball game hitting .385. So he's had a good spring switching organizations. Duncan had that other home run for them a couple of innings ago. It's been his only hit today, and that was his first home run this spring. Carpenter's pitch, and that is a check swing. Did he go around? No. On the appeal, they say he was holding.
I was down by the cages earlier today, and as the Indians were strolling past us coming into the dugout, and Shelley Duncan stopped to say hi to Peter Gammons, who I was talking to, and I was shocked how tall he was.
Yeah,
he's a big boy. Yeah. I only get to see these guys on TV most of the time now, and he's a big kid.
The Indians list Shelley Duncan 6'5", 225.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of Richie Sexton. Just kind of has that body and big kid.
Right. Next pitch on Duncan. That one is low. Shelley Duncan has spent a lot of time in the minors. Over 940 games. He's hit over 170 home runs in the minors. In the majors, he's played in 153 games and hit 19 home runs.
Yeah, you gotta have a defensive position.
Yeah. There's a pitch that's low and away on him, and now the count runs full, 3-2. Carpenter struggling, maybe a little nervous energy, pitching here for the Angels, coming up from minor league camp, and this is the second time he's pitched this spring for the Angels.
Yeah, I'm always amazed these young kids that can come up and perform with Mike Scioscia and Butch and Hatch sitting right there.
Sure.
In their chairs, eyeballing you. I know when I was in A-ball, well, I wouldn't have been called up to one of these games in A-ball. I wasn't quite ready for even this, but I can only imagine. My first big league camp, I was going to AAA that year. It was my first big league camp, and I was scared to death. I just always stayed in the background, and I got one at bat over in Oakland. Scared to death.
3-2 once again. That's fouled off over by the batter waiting on deck for Cleveland. That is Jordan Brown, who will bat next. 10-7 Cleveland. We're in the ninth inning. 10 runs, 7 hits for the Indians. The Angels have 7 runs on 10 hits. The Angels will have one more crack in the bottom of the ninth. Carpenter's already made a lot of pitches. He's yet to retire a batter. The 3-2, and it's fouled off again.
Got a good sinker working that ball, running underneath Shelley's hands there. It's tough. I mean, you got a good sinker working that right-hander. It's against a right-hander. It's tough for him to keep that ball in play. You end up hitting foul balls just like that, swinging over the top of it.
3-2 the count. Again, the payoff pitch, and that time he fooled him. He chased a high one. He took something off it and struck him out. Down goes Duncan. First out here in the ninth inning.
Maybe a little slider there, a little backup slider. Didn't look like it broke a whole lot, but it was up in the zone. Didn't look like it broke. Sometimes as a hitter, you get that. You recognize the pitch as a hanging slider, and you go to swing at it, and it just doesn't break.
Yep.
Backup slider is what we called those.
So here's Jordan Brown. He bats from the left side. He takes that pitch for a strike on the outside corner. I understand that today in Goodyear, the Reds starting pitcher Johnny Cueto left today's ball game. Second straight outing that he has left with some tightness around the forearm.
Yeah. Not good news for them as well.
Sure.
That's why it's so important to have the depth that Victor was talking about earlier. When you can have, boy, some arms down there, you know you're going to have to use them at some point, just to kind of stockpile them down there, guys that can come up here and, you know, maybe not fill in for a Weaver in the same way that Weaver, you know, within his capabilities, but to give you some quality innings and outs, and, you know,
keep you in the ball game.
Keep you in the ball game.
Right.
Got to have depth.
Here's the 1-2 on Brown. It's lifted in the air into shallow right center field. Amarista goes back, but he's going to be called off by the right fielder Hyde, who comes in and makes the grab. And that will be out number 2 here in the 9th inning. 2 are gone.
You know, that's the one thing in this organization, you know, from really, it almost seems like from 2000 on, maybe, I don't know, maybe 2002 on. You know, you never had that huge question mark of who was going to be your 5th starter. I can remember many springs where we're looking for a 4th and a 5th coming out of spring training, and you know, you're bringing in some veteran guy that, you know, maybe he's got something left in the tank. And this organization has been successful because they've really built it around good, solid, strong pitching. Guys that, you know, they might be young, but they can come up and get you outs.
Angels minor league system has been highly rated really over the last decade or so. The pitch on its way. That's a strike on the outside corner. Last few seasons, obviously we've seen a lot of players coming up from the minors, so maybe the minor league system hasn't been rated as highly because of all the players who have made an impact.
Yeah, we've had to call them up and help us out.
Right.
Yeah.
The pitch, that one's grounded by the mound. Nice stop there by Segura, the shortstop, and he robs Huffman of a hit. That ball looked like it was going to go right up the middle.
Yeah, it was a very nice play.
So the inning is over. They do get 2 runs to increase the lead. 2 runs on 2 hits. The home run by Buck in the inning. No errors and nobody left. The bottom of the 9th is next. Angels need runs, trailing by 3. It's 10-7 Cleveland on the Angels Baseball Network. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning, and the first batter up for the Angels is Gene Segura. The pitcher for Cleveland is Frank Herman. He came in, got the final out last inning, so he'll try and get the save for them. We'll see if the Angels can mount a comeback, down 3 here in the bottom of the 9th. That pitch is way inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Tomorrow, the Angels will be back in action and playing at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. It won't be the Angels and Diamondbacks. It'll be the Angels and Rockies tomorrow. They share that facility with Arizona. Joel Pinheiro will go for the Angels in that game. There's a pitch in there for a strike. Ismael Rogers is slated to pitch for the Rockies on Monday. The Angels will take on the Cubs here in Tempe. That'll be Jared Weaver against Andrew Kashner. Don't forget the start of the regular season, only 12 days away. The Angels and Kansas City on March the 31st. That'll be a Thursday. The pitch. It's fouled back behind the plate. Big cut.
Big cut. Man, that was a big cut.
Segura's a little guy, but he can swing the bat.
He can. Wow. My goodness. Got some pop in that bat.
2 balls and 2 strikes to count on him. One of the top prospects in the Angels organization, Gene Segura, 5-tool player. He has some power. He hit 10 home runs last year in the minors. He takes that one and a close pitch. The count full, 3-2.
That was a very close pitch. He had it ball all the way, though.
So we'll see what gives on the payoff. The Angels need base runners. We'll see if Segura can get on. Next delivery, he pops it in the air right to the second baseman, and they're waiting and putting it away is Cord Phelps for the out.
I don't think he trusted Barrett to call that next pitch a ball right. After taking that one before. Kind of expanded the zone a little bit. Probably felt like, ooh, maybe I got lucky on that last one. And that last one was definitely a ball. But Ted Barrett's a great umpire back there. He doesn't look at the name on the back. He doesn't care if you're a veteran or a ball player. He's going to call what he sees, and a lot of integrity in what he's doing behind the plate.
Here's Amarista batting, left-handed hitter. He's another pint-sized guy, middle infielder. Only goes about 5'8". And he grounds that one right to the second baseman. Bobbled by Phelps, recovers, throws, but it's late. So that's an error all the way, and the Angels get a 1-out base runner here in the bottom of the ninth. That was a very easy play, and Cord Phelps just struggled with that one, the second baseman.
Yeah, he had more time. It seemed like he rushed it a little bit. Taking a look at this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not enough of an infielder to know what how to break that one down. He clanked it, I guess.
Yep. So the batter now for the Angels is Andrew Hyde. He swings from the left side, and he takes the first pitch in there for a strike. Hyde has been hit by a pitch his only time up. Looks like we're going to have another young player bat, Ryan Mount, who's waiting on deck.
Mountie.
Yeah. One time very highly thought of in the Angels organization, but he's had some injury issues and has dropped off the radar screen a little bit, but here today and waiting to bat next.
Well, I think it's always a good sign when you get called back up here for a few of these games, just.
There goes the runner. The pitch is high. No throw to second base. Amarista easily at second. It will not be a stolen base. They'll say indifference there. So 1 ball, 2 strikes on Hyde. 1 out. Angels batting bottom of the ninth, trailing 10-7. Here's the pitch. Chopped on the right side. Another try for Phelps. This time he fields it cleanly, and he'll throw out Hyde. And on the play, Amarista goes to third. 2 outs. And Ryan Mount will be the next batter. So Mount will step up to the plate. This is his first at bat this spring for the Angels, and he doesn't want to be the final out of the ball game, so we'll see if he can keep it alive. And he takes the first pitch high for ball 1. Ryan Mount, a Southern California native, 2nd round pick of the Angels in 2005. Lives in Chino, was born in West Covina. The pitch, he pops it up foul right side. That's going to get back and out of play. Mount, left-handed batter, last year at AA Arkansas. He played in only 85 games, and that's really been the problem for him in recent seasons. He has not played in even 90 games any of the last 4 years because of injuries. He hit .231 last year in AA. 1-1 pitch. He takes, and that's in there for a strike, so he's down to his final strike in the ballgame. 1-2 the count. Herman is ready, and the 2-strike delivery ripped into right center field. Chasing and making the running catch is Travis Buck, and that will end the ball game. Mount couldn't have hit it any squarer there, and he lines out to end the game. here in the bottom of the ninth inning. No runs, no hits, one error, and one runner left. Final score today here in Tempe. The Indians over the Angels 10-7. Thanks for watching Diablo Vision on Fox Sports West.